Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. Before we get started, let's introduce everyone on this meeting. Sandy Brock. When I call your name, please confirm you can hear me and verifying that you are present. So we'll start with the commissioners. Travis,
Present.
and thank you for being here, even though you're sick. Jonathan,
Present.
and Patrick is not here. Emily,
Present.
thank you very much. We'll go to staff. Leah
Present.
and Jan.
Present.
So I'm going to go through each of the speakers. And again, if you could only just unmute and say present, it just makes sure that you can hear us and we can hear you. So the speakers for 26 Fay Mountain Road, it's Norm and Robin Dowd.
I'm present.
I'm present.
Thank
Hi,
you very
Norm.
much. For 10 McGill Drive, Norm again with Jonathan Miller.
Yeah.
Is Jonathan not on yet? We'll keep going. For 62 Wesson Street, again, Norm, and then Wayne Andrews. Let me know, Jan, if anyone else is on. Otherwise, we'll keep going. 245 Upton Street for Silver Lake. Leah will take care of that. 38. Yep. I already knew you were there, so I was just kind of keep on going here. 38 and 40 Adams Road. James Tetrault. If I say it incorrectly, please correct me. Brian Kelly and Carson Ransford. Okay, so they may be on later, but they're not here right now. 25 Old Westboro Road, Jim Bolduc. I know these are for later hearings. Oh, thank you very much, Jim. For Hudson Ave, Norm again.
Yep.
Eric Gilmore and Tom and Pam Hill, if they happen to be on.
Present.
Yep, we're here.
Thank you very much. 59 Pleasant Street is Stephen O'Connell and Chad Boardman. Okay, we will keep going. All right. This open meeting of the Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely via Zoom pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order, as most recently extended on March 29th, 2023. Access information for the public has been provided on the town website. This meeting is being recorded. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. If you're using the dial in by telephone feature, you can mute yourself by pressing *6. As chair, I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. Please note that you will not have screen sharing privileges, but staff can display any visuals per your cue. So someone has their mic open. If you could mute it, that would be helpful. After the commissioners, wait a minute, I lost my place. After speakers conclude their remarks, I will invite each commissioner to provide any comments, questions, or motions. After commissioners have spoken, I will allow public comments to be spoken by participants. Participants must raise hand feature by clicking on the hand icon at the bottom right of the Zoom menu bar to indicate they would like to speak. If you are using a dial-in by telephone feature, please press *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute you when you are called upon. Participants who raised their hands will be recognized one at a time and will be promoted to speak. Public comments will be followed by commission and applicant responses. Finally, each vote will be conducted by a roll call vote. As a reminder, the commission is concerned with state and town wetlands and stormwater regulation. Concerns outside this purview need to be addressed by the appropriate boards. For example, road conditions must be addressed by the select board and traffic conditions must be addressed by the planning board. So it is 7:07. Leah, anything that we can kind of catch up on ahead of time?
Yeah, a couple things.
Okay.
So the July 11 minutes we're gonna table to September 5. So we don't have minutes for you guys tonight.
Okay.
That would have been a really long novel for you to read.
I figured it was a little bit of a heavy lift, and Jan
Yes.
did a a very nice job, but she was going solo on that one, so.
Sure. I do see that the Neelys are on in our attendees list, so if you want to skip to, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6th action item, it's at the bottom of page 4 of my report. They are the folks that were looking to do work for us on the trail at Hassanamesset Woods, where it's been
Okay.
draining poorly.
Yep.
So just to give an update on that, in the interim, Jan and I walked the whole loop of Hassanamesset Woods with Art. We scoped out their area as well as 2 others that we know also have drainage problems to get his take on, the best way forward in terms of structure and potential permitting needed. That walk was, what day was that? Midweek last week. I don't have, Art's gonna put together a memo for us on the 3 spots. I don't have that from him yet, and he actually leaves for a vacation tomorrow. So I don't know the clear pathway forward for this spot just yet, but I anticipate having it before he'll be back in a week. So I think we'd have it for our September 5th meeting.
Okay. So this is
Okay,
really
thank you
just
very
an
much.
update and no kind of further action on it right now, or?
That's all I have. We do have them on the call. If
Okay.
they have any questions, they have their hand up now.
Thank you. Look forward to the next meeting.
And thank you for
Thank-
being patient and continuing with this effort. So thank you.
Thank you for advancing that item on the agenda.
All right.
We-
Okay. Go
We do
ahead.
have 2 other attendees who raised their hand. I'm going to promote ETH first.
Please give your name and address and then go ahead. And you're muted if you're trying to speak.
There we go.
There you go.
Sorry, it's James Flagg, 62 Davis Road, Millbury, Mass. Is the mailing address. The property is 129 Ferry Street, South Grafton, Mass.
Okay. And what would you like to talk about?
They have a COC request on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
We just
Uh,
weren't sure where that comes along in the meeting.
Wherever we have time, to be quite honest. That's why we start public hearings at 7:15. That's why I'm asking Leah if what we can do in the meantime to take care of those type of things. So Leah, is that an easy one to go through?
Sure is. They met all their conditions. We have an as-built plan on file. Everything's all set, so I was recommending issuing the COC.
All right, great. And just for your information, what we'll do is we'll have a motion in a second and then we'll vote on it. We rely on Leah and her work as far as making all the observations and providing us with a report. So if you want to hold on a moment, we'll take care of that business.
Thank you.
Okay, so anything else you want to add to that, Leah?
Nope, that's it.
All right. And if I could have, so let's go down to, what's the address again?
It's the 2nd action item, 129 Ferry Street.
129 Ferry Street. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to issue the COC for 129 Ferry Street.
Do I have a second?
I can second it.
Thank you very much. And we will do a roll call vote. And Jonathan,
Yes.
whoops, someone was getting feedback, so,
I was a
Uh,
yes.
okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Jonathan's a yes. Travis?
Yes.
I'm sorry, yep, thank you very much. Emily?
Yes.
And I am also a yes, so we've done a roll call vote and the motion passes and the order of conditions, certificate of compliance will be issued. Just please follow up with Leah on the next couple of days or with Jan, and they'll let you know when it'll be ready to be picked up. So thank you very much. Okay, all right. Anything else we can squeeze in?
We do have one more attendee with their hands up, coming from phone number 774-261-0009.
Sure, please give your name and address. And you are muted if you're trying to speak.
And I believe it's *6 to unmute for a
There you
phone.
go.
Thank you. It's Trish Flag about the 129 Ferry Street. Trying to maneuver this whole Zoom meeting.
That's okay. Do
I'm
you have a
on
question
phone
about
with
it?
him. Nope, we're just sitting here. I'm with my husband and watched the voting and we're all set.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay. Next thing that we can take in 2 minutes, Leah?
If you skip down to action item 4, we need to reissue a partial COC. It's a really old one for 51 and 53 Carroll Road. It was issued in the past and recorded, but a bunch of fields on it were blank. So for the current closing attorney, they need a like an actually filled out partial COC to go record.
Okay. Pretty straightforward. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to reissue the corrected partial COC for 51 and 53 Carroll Road.
Do I have a second?
I second that.
All right, roll call vote. Since you just said something, Emily, you get to go first.
Yes.
Jonathan,
Yes.
Travis?
Yes.
I am also a yes, the motion carries. All right. Getting close. Anything within 30 seconds there, Leah?
Probably not.
Okay. All right. So we are just going to hang out for right now, and we can actually start our public hearings. We'll start with the 7:15. It's 26 Fay Mountain Road. All right. Pursuant to the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Grafton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing to act upon a request for determination of applicability for the replacement of a septic system at 26 Fay Mountain Road. And who is here to speak to that?
Good evening. This is Norman Hill, engineer with Land Planning. Can you all hear me okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, so there's an existing house here at 26 Fay Mountain Road, and our client, Rosamond Dowd, has recently purchased this property. Now, there was a cesspool on this property that's unacceptable. So if you stand in the street and look at the property, there's a driveway that runs up the right-hand side of the house. And if you go up the left-hand side of the house, there's a cesspool just out past where we're proposing a new septic tank. So it goes uphill. Left of the driveway goes uphill to the house. Right of the driveway is below the driveway and dead flat. And there's a spring that bubbles out of the ground that's about 90 feet from us proposed septic repair. And then that spring is got a stone lined little seasonal brook that goes to the south away from the house and away from the proposed septic. So I tested in the front yard so we could put the septic system in the front yard. And we're proposing a conventional septic system with no Title V waivers. And we're more, like I said, we're well over 50 feet from any wetland or that spring that I mentioned. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. With this we filed an RDA on.
All right. Let's first go around the commission to see if anyone has any questions. Jonathan.
No, I don't have any specific questions.
Travis.
Curious to hear the agent's special condition recommendations, but other than that, no questions.
All right. Emily.
No questions. Thank you.
All right, great. I mean, this seems fairly straightforward. Leah, can you just review what your recommendations are for your special conditions?
Yeah, I actually have one question that I just noticed now. What are the, it seems like you flagged something called breakout SI or S1 with a series of numbers. What is that? Did we lose him?
I see the
Norman.
breakout S1. I'm trying to think what that represents. I I don't know what that means. Stephen, are you on? Do you know what that is? I guess my assistant's not on. Leo, I don't know what that breakout S1
Steven's
file.
on, he's muted right now.
Yeah,
Stephen, are you on?
is that the calculated elevation of the breakout for Title V?
I don't believe so. Then he's got
Never
another
seen
thing,
it like
break
that
one
before.
S6. I don't know what breakout S6 is either. Oh, maybe that's, I think that's for, because this is a Presby, we have various breakout calculations. You have to be 15 feet to daylight. In other words, you go horizontally 15 feet. And that's for the Board of Health. Those are breakout, not like water breaking out of the, well, it would be if we didn't have enough dirt there. Yeah, those represent the 15-foot distances for the various trenches, so that Board of Health can review and approve the septic.
It looks like they go 1 through 7.
Well,
And
I
it's-
think-
Yeah, it looks like they're doing different elevations. If you look at, it
Yeah.
starts at the very top. So it's kind of, I'm looking for any kind of legend or anything on here. Not really seeing it, but it's just a different way if that's the breakout.
Yeah, that's a Title V Board of Health issue for, just to make sure that the sewage doesn't break out of the hillside there. You have to have enough dirt backfilled around the system.
Okay, we do have, the owner has her hand raised. I was just trying to make sure it wasn't like groundwater breakout or something that we
No,
needed to account
no, it's
for in
not.
our permitting.
No, it's not. No, the front yard is dry. The front yard is dry, and it goes uphill from the street up. It's quite dry, the whole front yard. Yeah. It's all lawn now.
So yes, so the homeowner would like to say something. Please feel free to unmute and give your name and address and let us know what you have questions on.
I guess it wasn't a question. Well, my name is Rosamond Dowd. The address here is 26 Bay Mountain Road. Do you need the address where I'm currently living?
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I
Okay.
just wanted to make sure everyone understood. I did receive something from the Board of Health that their process was approved.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you for that. Again, that's their purview and so forth. So Leah, if you go on to the plan, if you scroll up and over to the right is section S1 through the different pipes. And each one of those, it's right above the locus map. Each
Oh,
one
got
of
it.
those, yep, each one of those is elevation of the 4-inch and then the elevation of breakout. So what they did is they plotted those 1 through 7. And so it's more of a Board of Health thing. It's not something we need to really kind of discuss, but that's basically their calculation for the enviroseptic elevations.
Okay,
So, no,
Thank
good
you.
question. No, good question.
do you want me to
So-
take you through the conditions now?
Please.
All right, so I would recommend a negative determination with 3 special conditions. 1, prior to commencement of work, the erosion control shown on the plan will be installed. Will serve as the limit of disturbance and be maintained during construction and removed once the site is fully stabilized. Number 2, any stockpiles shall be located outside the buffer zone and surrounded by erosion control. And number 3, if they're pouring any concrete on site, they'll use an impervious washout structure outside the buffer zone, and all deposits within the washout shall be disposed of off-site.
Okay. I'll do a quick around with the commissioners to see if anyone has anything more. But first, to just let the owner understand that when we issue a negative determination, that's actually what you want. It means that you do not have to do a notice of intent. It means you're done with this process. If we do a positive determination, then we go on to another permit. That's not the case for this project. So just letting you know that when we say negative determination that's actually what we're looking for. So I'll do a quick just around the commission to see if you have any questions on the conditions or anything else that you'd like to add. Jonathan.
No questions. They seem straightforward.
Travis.
Nope.
Emily
No questions, thank you.
and Leah, I only have a really minor one that where you talk about the concrete to be disposed of offsite. No problem with that at all. Disposed of offsite, just to add the word legally disposed offsite,
Sure.
just so that, you know, they got to meet state and local regulations around that. That's very minor. Okay.
Okay.
Norm, anything else? Otherwise, we're going to take a vote.
No, my client will accept those conditions.
Cool. All right. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to close the hearing and issue a negative determination with the special conditions. Do I need to go through them or can I say as noted, Sandy?
As noted by Leah. Absolutely. Yep.
As noted by Leah in this meeting for
Okay. Do I have a,
26 Bay Mountain Road.
thank you very much. Do I have a
Second.
second? We have a
Second.
motion and a second. Thank you, Travis. And then we'll do a roll call vote. Travis, you're up on my screen, so you get to vote first.
Yes.
Emily,
Yes,
Jonathan,
Yes.
I am also yes, the motion carries. Thank you very much and good luck. All right. Anything we can take care of in the 5 minutes that we have till our next scheduled hearing?
Yes, we go back to page 4, action items. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fifth one down was our other usage authorization from last time. This one was to link the trail, the Silver Lake Trail Network with Cider Mill Pond. Using hand tools. We had a volunteer from one of the mountain biking associations propose this one. So we walked this one with Art as well. She kindly flagged it for us, so we were able to walk her proposed route. We did not encounter that stream that GIS showed, so I suspect it was what I thought, which was the flow coming down Stowe Road and going into that basin the town created. However, Art hung a few blue wetland flags while we were out there because there's a couple spots that the trail dips down into wetlands. So we're just going to need it rerouted in a couple spots to avoid the wetlands. And then just, this is more for staff, but we'll try to get some signage or something pointing folks out around the back of that basin the town built to get to a trailhead. Because otherwise they're going across riprap and that's just not a good idea.
That's not safe, actually.
Yeah. So, and then last time we talked about coordinating with DPW for a little bit of help with brush removal, so I can reach out to them as well. So I think this one's ready to be approved. I would just say subject to any waiver of liability the town may have and the rerouting guidance that we will relay to her, and we're happy to meet her out there if she needs a hand.
All right, that sounds great. Just a quick round with commissioners, see if they have any questions on this. Jonathan,
Nope, no questions.
Travis,
Nope. No question.
and Emily.
no questions.
All right, yeah, I don't have any. This is great. Again, a citizen kind of stepping up to, help maintain some of our trails. That's fabulous.
We do have an attendee who raised their hand, John Achu.
Certainly.
Right.
Please give your name and address once you get promoted. And you unmute. So John, if you're speaking, we can't hear you because it shows that you're muted. Anything else that we can say to them on other than me like waving my arms and stuff?
He doesn't seem to be on a phone, so he shouldn't need the *6 instructions. That's all I got.
Yep.
He's actually on here twice in the attendees. I don't know, Jan, if you want to promote
John,
both.
the
I
mute's
don't
in
know.
the bottom left-hand corner.
Right, both
Looks
are
like a
promoted.
microphone.
Hello?
Now we can hear you.
Oh, thank God. Sorry, we were having a bear of a time signing in. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure you could hear us. I didn't mean to jump ahead. I'm here for the Abbey Road thing, so we'll wait our turn. Sorry about that.
No problem. Thank you for just letting us know that you're on, and we've checked
Thank you.
your, that, so,
Excellent.
thank you
All
very
right, so
much.
thank you. All right.
Yep. All right, 2 minutes.
I don't think we voted to approve.
Oh,
I
that's
make a
right, we did
motion-
not.
I'll make a motion to approve the usage application subject to any waiver of liability the town may have and the rerouting of the trail per staff guidance for the Silver Lake Trail work.
Thank you. Second,
I second that.
roll call vote. Emily,
Yes.
Travis,
Yes.
Jonathan?
Yes.
I am also a yes, that motion carries.
I don't know what page it would be on your lead sheet, but the bottom of page 3 of my report, if you want to read in and then continue 124 Westboro.
24 Westboro. 124 Westboro, I can read this in. Okay, pursuant to the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, Grafton Stormwater Management Bylaw, Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing to act upon notice of intent for construction of a warehouse facility at 124 Westboro Road. The applicant has requested a continuance to
September
September 5th. Yep, I had to flip the page. September 5th. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to continue the hearing for 124 Westboro Road to September 5th.
Second,
Second.
roll call vote. Jonathan,
Yes.
Travis,
Yes.
Emily.
Yes.
I am also a yes. The motion carries. Very good call there, Leah. Okay, 7:30. Let's move right along. Next one, date certain, time certain. All right, pursuant to the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Conservation Commission will hold public hearing to act upon a request for determination of applicability for the construction of a pool at 10 McGill Drive. Who's here to speak to that?
Good evening, this is Norman Hill, engineer with Land Planning. So Jonathan, we've submitted a plan that shows where he'd like to build this swimming pool. And there used to be wetlands in his backyard, but there are no longer any wetlands in his backyard. I don't know what happened to them, but they're no longer there. We've walked almost 200 feet from the position of this proposed pool out back, and there are just no wetlands out back. So we did find wetland protection signs in his lower backyard, which indicates to me that one time before those signs were put in, there must have been a wetland there. I don't know what happened to it. So we've submitted a request for determination and asked you to confirm that there are no wetlands on this lot. Kind of an unusual situation, if you ask me, but.
All right, Leah, kind of what you found when you looked into this?
Sure. So a previous order laid out the no disturb, as Norm mentioned. If we go to an aerial for a second, lawn was expanded into that no disturb as recent as 2021. I don't know about today because our aerial for today has a lot of trees. So can't quite see, but so I was going to throw this one to Ecotech to scope out, but I didn't know if the commission wanted to require, like we don't even have, if it's upland, we don't even have an upland data sheet. So I didn't know if you wanted data first, then go to art, or how you wanted to handle that.
Good question. I mean, obviously at some point there was a wetlands back there. Wetlands grow and shrink versus, and caused by either nature or changes, although the changes we've had in weather would be wetter, but it can grow and shrink in different ways, and it can be influenced by man or just influenced by nature. I would think if the lawn has been expanded, then, you may not be able to see any vegetation, but you would be able to see a second A layer and actually have some, evidence from the soils, So Norm, did you do any sheets or did you do any borings or cores? Not not borings, but like augers or
No.
anything?
No, but it, the wetland doesn't start where the lawn ends. There's no wetland for almost 200 feet.
And
So,
is it all woods or is it?
yeah, it's all woods up past the lawn. And there's, I don't know if the road, the construction of the road, maybe there's some sub drains in the road, because the topography starts across the street, would have come through where the road is now and come onto this lot. This lot is, but it's dry and there's no wetlands there now.
Okay.
No plant species, no.
So we didn't dig any holes in his lawn. We didn't.
Well, I'm not talking like large test pits. I'm just talking a hand auger.
Yeah, no, we did not.
And again, that's a 25-foot, so it's not really digging it in the lawn. It's digging it approximately where it was, flagged previously.
Yeah, no, we did not. No.
Okay. I mean, if it's not there, it's not there. We would just like to get a little bit more confirmation that it's not there. And I'm not making any suggestions of doing anything very invasive, but a hand auger could just go down to see if there is any hydric soils. That will tell you really fast if something was there. And it's just kind of confirming that things have changed, and if there's no longer a wetlands either 25 feet from there or 50 feet from there, then this is not an issue any longer. It's wetlands and it moves. I don't know if Leah, if you have anything else to add to that.
No, that's fine. I just didn't know how you wanted to proceed.
Yeah, I think,
That's fine.
again, it is what it is. And I think if we could just get a little bit of paperwork without doing anything, really extensive, then we can, kind of safely say, for whatever reason in the past, this wetland was, might have been there or might have been a transition area. And due to the changes of the whole site, that it is no longer that. I think that's all we need to do our due diligence. I'll quickly go around to commissioners to see if they have anything else to add. Jonathan.
No, what you just mapped out sounds like a reasonable thing, requesting data and then revisiting it.
Right. And then Leah, correct me if I'm wrong, if even though that, there's a 25-foot no disturb zone there, if they go out 100 feet and they don't discover any evidence of wetlands, then they don't need to have a permit in front of us, correct?
Yeah, if they're at that point, if they're proposing the pool and it's not even in a jurisdictional area, I guess we could kind of just turn this into a determination that we're in agreement with the new line.
I mean, they've already submitted something, so let's keep the paperwork going so the owner has that paperwork and has the paper trail.
Yeah.
Let me just check with Travis. Anything else?
For consistency, I'll recuse myself since this is in Highfields.
Yeah, I thought so. Thank you for that. Emily, any questions or comments on this?
No questions for me, thank you.
Okay. Norm, how does that sound? I mean, we can kind of continue this so that we can document not just that this is an RDA for pool, but as more of, determination that
Sure,
you're not
sure.
within that buffer or anything.
Sure, we could go out and do maybe 2 transects, go down over 100 feet from where the pool's proposed, and do little borings and log it and submit those logs to you. We'd be happy to do that.
Yep. And then for the homeowner, it gives them a paper trail to
Yep.
show that they don't have the jurisdiction on site. And Leah, as far as like Art, it may be just kind of to check with, if he thinks just checking the soils is sufficient. I mean, obviously it's either vegetation's either there or not there. And it's been a very wet year. So that
Okay.
would be my suggestion. So
Works for me.
all right. And then, so based on that, I'm gonna, if anyone, any of the public that's on this call, if you have any questions or comments, on this RDA, please raise your hand. They're happy to answer it. Other than that, Norm, we would just continue to the next meeting and we should be able to get it all sorted out.
That's fine. I request a continuance to the next meeting.
Okay. Jan, has anyone raised their hand or?
Nothing from the public.
Okay, so nothing from the public. Do I have a motion to continue this to the September 5th hearing?
Make a motion to continue the hearing for 10 McGill Drive to September 5th.
Second,
I second that.
motion is second. Roll call vote. Emily,
Yes.
Travis,
Yes.
Jonathan.
Hang on, I thought you were accusing yourself.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry. That's my
Yes,
fault,
I am
Travis.
recusing myself. That's what I meant.
I thank you, Jonathan, and thank you, Travis. I'm in auto mode right now, so sorry about that. Jonathan,
Yes.
I am also a yes. The motion carries with one abstention. Or one recusal, I guess you would say.
What it's like to be that sick, so I know, I know that feeling.
Okay. Here we go. 6 minutes to the next time certain. Anything left on the to-do list for
Yeah,
action items?
last page of my report, it's actually a discussion item. So I just have an update I wanted to give you guys on the Riding subdivision, which is 88 Adams over by sort of by High Point, if you remember that one. And also near Hennessy, our property. So they've had repeated sedimentation problems in the river. The applicant's always been responsive to it and resolves them, but it never sticks when the next crazy rain comes around. So I asked for a more robust approach to erosion control on site. We did receive plans from their engineer, who's actually online tonight, James Tatro. They're proposing a lot of different things, some loam and seed, stump grindings, lined channel, enlarging and cleaning out their temporary basins, the addition of a temporary basin or two, clean out and repair of erosion control, flock blocks and jute mesh. So I find this to be a robust enough plan to try to implement and then see how that goes without needing you guys to take any action, but I wanted to keep you in the loop. Gonna be visiting the site with Jeff as well to make sure these things were done and that they're functioning for the next rainstorms.
Okay, no, it does seem pretty robust. The stump grindings work really well if it's on a slope. So that's reusing something that otherwise would just go to a landfill or be buried. So yeah, it does definitely seem pretty robust. Quickly around, does anyone else have any comments or questions for Leah on this particular action item? Jonathan,
Nope, no comments, no questions.
Travis? Yep, thank you, Travis.
Nope.
Emily?
My only question is, you said before the next brainstorm, which feels imminent this summer, is there an actual timeline to get this done?
I actually put that question out to James Tatro this afternoon. I don't know. Do you have an answer for that?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I actually just about 20 minutes ago sent an email over to Leah. I apologize for being so slow, but I was trying to get the applicant and his construction supervisor on the line at the same time to discuss the timing. Some of those are going to be taken care of right away. One is, for instance, is the paving of base course of the road is going to take some time. But anyways, we sent a schedule for each of the 10 items to be addressed.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, Leah, just keep us in the loop as it goes along.
Sure.
So no action required on that.
Correct.
3 minutes. Are we all done with our action items?
I think what we have left would need more than 3. Let me look.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Okay, so do you want to give, just because we have 3 minutes, want to just give a quick update to the commissioners on what's going on with 95 North Street, just as an quick update?
So I am anticipating bid docs in the near future, but we have to go back to the drawing board a little bit about the scope that we're bidding out right now, because their estimator on the design team's estimator came back kind of double what we have funds in hand for what we want to build. So we're going to have to consider phasing possibly, or a couple grants and
Okay,
chase those.
so there's a couple ways when you can bid it. So you can do alternates, and there's different
Yeah.
ways of doing it. So you put them in order. So basically, it's kind of a sort of a phase thing, but it's basically if you can find items that are, you know, kind of contained where you can list them out, and depending upon who bids on it and what the prices come in at, you can accept those alternatives. And I'm sure Jonathan knows the wording better than I do. But you can do that so that it gives you flexibility to get as much done as possible.
Right.
So that's
Yeah,
one
there-
option.
There's inherently, depending on how extreme the alternates are, and again, I estimate and run a crew of 7 estimators all day long, but if you put too many add alternates in, it can become a little bit cumbersome to, the bidders may pad certain things because they're concerned you're only going to take a piece of it. You know, there's a whole, pad's the wrong word, but they try to balance their bid, and they might front load the cost as opposed to distributing it evenly. So I can weigh in or help look at, or
Yeah.
whatever, help put a set of eyes on it from the costing and the pre-construction side, because that's my life day in, day out.
That would be super helpful.
So Jonathan, another way of saying that is they're just protecting their own interests so that they can do a fair and good job.
Yes.
So, all
Yes.
right, look at that, 7:45. Thanks for the update. And yeah, please use Jonathan's his skills and stuff. He definitely knows a lot more than I do on that. All right.
Glad to help. If there's any way to help, let me know.
Okay. All right. 7:45. 62 Weston Street. Okay. Pursuant to the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, the Grafton Stormwater Management Bylaw, and the Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing to act upon a notice of intent for lots 2 and 3. Application for Grafton Wetlands Bylaw permits for lots 2 and 3 for construction of single-family house on lots 1, 2, 3, 62 Weston Street. And who is here to talk about that one?
Good evening. This is Norman Hill, engineer with Land Planning. So I've been working on this job almost a year now. It started when I got a phone call from Wayne Andrews. He's the current president of the Willard House and Clock Museum here in Grafton on Willard Street. And he came in, he said he had this approximately 20-acre piece of land, and he would like to cut it up into lots so they could sell the lots and put the money in their endowment. They're having trouble keeping the place running, keeping the funds that they need. And this would provide them with some endowment funds. So we surveyed it. We perked for 3 lots. We did a sketch for 3 lots. And Leah, could you call up sheet 2 of lot 2? Because that gives us a nice green overview of what's happening here. The property's all currently wooded. The sheet 2 of, that's it, that green thing there. So Magnolia Lane is down at the bottom, and Weston Street is to your left. If you just focus on the right-hand side of this drawing, if you would, this will help me give you an overview. So the Willard Clock Museum is on Willard Street, which is, if you went up Weston and turn left on Willard, it would be down there about a quarter mile on your left. So you can't see this property from the museum. It's sort of up the hill and around the corner and across the street. So, and you can't see the remaining 16 acres to the right. We're just showing you about 4 or 5 acres of the property. And so we perked these 3 lots down near the street for lot 1, out by the house on lot 2. Lot 3 is going to connect to an existing sewer stub. There was a stub left when they did the Magnolia Magnolia, is it Lane? I don't know, they did Magnolia Lane. They left a sewer stub for this property. So there's one sewer stub for lot number 3. So we did correct lots 1 and 2, and then we met with the planning board and we proposed a 3-lot A&R plan, and they approved it. But we also proposed a common driveway for lots 2 and 3, because we don't want to touch the wetlands. We don't want to get within 25 feet of those wetlands, because in the corner, you see that blue corner at the intersection of Weston and Magnolia, that's all wetland in that corner. So everything goes uphill from that wetland, and it goes uphill gradually for about 150 feet, and then it goes uphill steeply. So the back 16 acres, I doubt will ever be developed, because it's almost steeper than 1-on-1 to get up that slope. You'd never get a road or a driveway up that slope. So I think we're not using all 20 acres, but they're getting 3 lots, and this would help their endowment greatly. So the planning board approved the 3-lot A&R, and they approved the common driveway special permit for the common driveway. So we don't have to get nearer than about 32 feet to that wetland area. Now, because there's 3 houses, Leah said, you're doing a pretty big project, Norman, so you should file for stormwater management permit for all 3. And so when we went through the process with the planning board, they sent everything over to Graves to be reviewed, and Graves was okay with the stormwater management as proposed. So I'd like to introduce one of my engineers. His name's Stephen Balsowitz. I hope he's on here with us tonight. I'd like him to explain to you what he's done for stormwater management, not just on lot 1, but on all 3 lots. So just get sort of an overview of what's happening here with stormwater management. So Stephen, are you there? You must be having trouble getting on. You must be muted, Stephen. Well, if he's not here, I'll walk through it. I'll walk you through it. So all the pavement is going to be porous pavement with a layer of stone, all built per the manufacturer's recommendations for porous pavement. So the lot 1 driveway, the common driveway, the little section goes to lot 2, the section goes to lot 3, all that's porous pavement for all 3 lots. Now, there are infiltration systems on all 3 lots. And the area to be cleared, all that dark green is to remain uncleared, untouched. The lighter green is to be planted with the seed mix includes bushes, so that it helps with the drainage runoff curve. And then the light green is be lawn, but that yellowish green is the bushes. So each lot is infiltrating the house, the roof runoff, and all the driveways are going to leach into the ground. And there are, in addition, on the driveway itself, the common driveway, on the downhill side of the driveway, there's a stone trench that if anything doesn't go through the pavement, it goes into the stone trench, and then that'll leach into the ground. So this stormwater management booklet, which is about 1 inch thick, went off to Graves, and they approved it. And so I think Stephen's done a nice job here designing the stormwater management for this site. So there's no increase in runoff, the 2-year storm, the 10-year storm, the 100-year storm. He's got it all covered. So that's just an overview on the stormwater management. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have about that while we're still. I think the first item we're talking about tonight is the stormwater management permit for lot 1.
So, okay, do you have anything else to add, Norm, or all set
Well,
for questions?
Leah, could you call up the lot 1 design? Sheet 1 of lot 1. There you go. There you go. So the septic is below the house. Now, this is not within 100 feet of any wetlands, but because the 3 lots combined exceed an acre of disturbance, we're required to submit for stormwater management permit for all 3 lots.
And Leah, this is going to Graves too?
So it went to Graves through the planning board and
Okay.
they looked at the stormwater standards at the state level. He did not review for our bylaw, and so I don't know that I necessarily need him to, but I did not see TSS calculations anywhere to know if we're meeting 90% TSS removal and 60% TP.
So from that perspective, I mean, I've looked at the plans. I did not go through the stormwater calcs. Typically, when you have a porous pavement, as long as you're above groundwater or have an underdrain underneath it, you have at least 41 inches based on a UNH basically study they did. It's actually someone's thesis, is that you can get a pretty robust TSS removal. I would suggest by using porous pavement that use the EPA tables. Norm, I don't know if you're aware of those. It's the MS4 ones. It's the ones that you would look at for the MS4 from Massachusetts, and there's a series of basically tables that show you based on how much stone you have for your infiltration base. That gives you a certain amount of TSS removal. And it's pretty good for porous pavement. We would just want to make sure that you have that information and that was submitted. So that's a pretty easy check, Leah, to be quite honest. It's a pretty simplistic way of doing the analysis through the MS4 to make sure you meet the 90%. And again, it has to do with the design of the porous pavement system, has to do with what they call their filter course and the depth of that. And as far as your, does it infiltrate or not? It's depending upon where the groundwater is, but you still get water quality treatment because all you need to do is add a underdrain underneath it. So that stuff is pretty straightforward, but those are some of the things that we'd want to know. Some of the things that I was looking at is, you did soil testing for the septic system. Did you do soil testing where the infiltration system is? It looks like you have. Do you do any testing where the driveway is going to be, and what kind of, where is groundwater? And it makes a difference on what the total suspended solid removal is. It still works as a filter, but depending upon where it is and whether you're using it as infiltration or if you're just using it as mitigation, and then you can use the extended TSC method to show reduction of that. So I did not look at the stormwater report, but gut reaction, Leah, based on my my own personal experience with designing porous pavement, they're probably in good shape.
Okay.
But it's just that, like you said, if they did it per the state and they're looking at 80 and not the 90%, it's a pretty easy thing to look at it from the MS4 perspective.
Yes, and Sandy, we have on the detail sheet, we show the cross section for the porous pavement. And I'd like to point out that the infiltration system behind the house will be taking the runoff from the roof, which is considered clean runoff. So we're not proposing to infiltrate any dirty water.
No, that's fine. As far as like what's coming off the roof, that's more just making sure you don't have high groundwater. That's all. That's fairly straightforward. It's just a driveway and which method you use, and again, there's lots of different ways of doing it. So you probably meet it. We're just looking for that documentation specifically for the MS4 requirement of the 90% TSS removal. But
yeah, and the driveway is uphill from the soil testing done for the septic. And then out back behind the house, it's even at a higher elevation. So,
right.
But we did not do soil testing in the area of the driveway or in the area of that proposed infiltration system.
Yeah. And that's not bad. It's just you can still get the water quality component of it. It's just how you model it, and the fact if you have an underdrain or don't have an underdrain. That's all it means. You're probably good either way. It's just having that documentation on the porous pavement. I know, Leah, you had some other comments in here about I would include a specifications for the porous pavement. I would use the UNH's porous pavement spec that's commonly used throughout New England. And there's requirements in there as far as how you do it. Can you just to kind of keep this thing going, can you scroll down to where the section is of the porous pavement system?
The
It's
detail,
on
you
sheet
mean?
3.
The
I believe it's on
detail
sheet
sheet,
3.
yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go. Upper right-hand corner, I think.
Okay, so yeah, you have the porous pavement section over to the right. Can you go into that a little bit more? Yeah, so this is a little bit shy on the depth. So you have the choker course, and then you have what's called the filter layer, which you're really not this is not your typical section. And again, it's the reservoir layer is more for having a reservoir to do infiltration. You don't specifically need that. You probably don't want to put a filter fabric in there. I would recommend that you look at the UNH's their specifications and their design guidelines for porous pavement. You got a 3-inch open graded, you got that. It's a single pour. You don't, so you have I'm just giving you direction on where to find that. That's generally
Mhm.
accepted. Is I would go to the UNH stuff. This
Mhm.
is a driveway and not a roadway or commercial driveway or anything. 3 inches is a little bit light on the depth, but it's not bad. So those are just some of the things that I think we just need to get some clarification on. I don't know, Leah, if you had some other comments as far as that goes.
Well, before we move forward, can I just go through my list of
Yep.
like outstanding, is it still an outstanding question or are we all set?
Okay.
One is the under drain for the driveway.
Yep.
Is that shown
I don't
in
know.
this?
It does not show in that section. So
Okay, and so are we asking for one?
Well, there's an 8-inch stone reservoir there, 8-inch deep stone reservoir.
yeah, that's again, look in the standards on why you would use it. Even if you have poor soils and it's not infiltrating, you have to direct that under drain to someplace. It has to discharge someplace. And again, it's just part of the design. It's none of this is very high tech or anything. It's just, go to the places that have all the specs all set for you.
Will
And
do.
yeah, it's pretty straightforward. So
we'll
yeah,
have to-
Leah.
You'll have to revise this plan to show that. Okay.
Yep.
Are we also asking for testing for groundwater
I
for
would
the
say
driveway and the infiltration unit locations or no?
so. I am not. From my perspective, this is a designer driven thing. You can use porous pavement and make an assumption that you have groundwater and you just put an under drain in it and take care of it that way. You
Got
can do
it.
tests. Depends upon how you're designing it. It's very flexible. So
Okay.
I'm not going to tell someone how to design something.
Yep. And then we still want calcs for 90% TSS off
Yep.
of those charts you talked about. Okay.
You got it. Yeah, it's by Tetra Tech. If you actually Google the MS4, it's Appendix F,
Yep.
and there's probably like 30 tables in there. That's all the information that you need.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
So I'm clear on those items. Did you want me
Yep.
to move forward with other items on other lots, or we just sticking on lot 1 for right now?
I think, go ahead, Norm.
Yeah, I was gonna try and get lot 1 discussed, stormwater management wise. The others are a combination stormwater and notice of intent. And this is the first item on the agenda, so I'd like to request a continuance for the application for the stormwater management permit for lot 1, so I can revise these plans.
Yeah, that's not a problem. Do we want to do that now, Leah, or just keep on going and just do a continuance for whichever ones?
I'm fine doing it at the end.
Okay.
We scheduled all of them for 7:45 together. I know we gotta
Yep.
talk about different things on each lot, but we just thought it would be more efficient to make it one package deal.
That's
All right,
absolutely fine.
All right, let's go on to lot 2 then. So lot 2 is within 100 feet of the wetland in the corner. And lot 2 shares the common driveway with lot 3. So first 150 feet's a common shared driveway, so it's wider. It's, I think it's 18 feet wide. As I mentioned, there's a stone trench on the downhill side of that common driveway. But this plan also will have to have that cross section for the common driveway revised. And we'll have to provide those charts for the 90% TSS removal. The septic system is to the right of the house, but just slightly lower than the house. And we're actually going to have to pump it. This septic system is a pump system. So these two septic systems, by the way, have been approved by the Board of Health. Planning Board didn't get involved with the septics. They were focused on all the zoning issues and the drainage. So this is the layout for lot 2. I don't know if the board has any questions on this plan.
I have a few, if you want me to start.
Go ahead. I looked at.
Is there rooftop infiltration on this one as well? Because I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, I don't see any of the infiltration chambers on this one.
No, I don't believe there are any. No.
Were you intending for there to be? Because earlier you said all 3 would have it.
Well, you have to stay 50 feet from the septic. The only opportunity to do one would be coming in the driveway on the left-hand side of the driveway. But in order to do that, you'd have to cut down additional trees, and we want to cut down additional trees because that creates more runoff. It's really,
You do have some room where the temporary stockpile area is and along the driveway. The other thing that you can do is simply have the roof leaders that you can pour right onto your porous pavement and just alter your porous pavement depths to accommodate it.
we'll
You might
do
not
that.
get the whole, you might not get the whole house, but whatever you can get. Yep.
Yeah, we could do that. We could do the infiltration with the stockpile areas too. All right, I'm willing to make those revisions. I'll have to ask for continuance on this lot.
Also on this lot, I had a note, the stockpile needs to be shifted out of the 100-foot. It's halfway in.
Yeah, because up behind the house, it gets very steep. I suppose we could probably put it immediately behind the house. That's doable because that area there's already, we're proposing some lawn there in the future and it's a tree clearing there. So that it could go right behind the house. Yeah, that's what we'll do.
You can put it wherever you want as long as it's outside the 100-foot. So your choice.
Well, if I put it behind the house, it's going to be close to 100. It might only be 90. I'm not sure. I don't have a scale here right now, but yeah, we'll get it behind the house. All right.
That's all I have for lot 2. I have a couple of questions that are more generic to all 3. I can wait for those till after we go through number 3.
Okay. So number 3 would drive in across the driveway on lot 2. If you pull up the plan for lot 3, which is, there you go. It's on the left-hand side there. So this is going to have buried utilities. You're going to have buried telephone, electric cable coming in on the left-hand side of the driveway. And then we've got the stone trench drain up the right-hand side of the driveway. That stockpile area is within 100 feet of the BBW. I'll have to move that up behind the house. And we do have an infiltration area behind the house for the roof runoff. So we would have to revise this plan too, as well as that common driveway cross section.
So Leah, you had some other questions also?
Yeah, I have one for lot 3 and then I'll do the others. The plan set for lot 3 doesn't have the, you have the soil evaluator signature block, but there's no signature in it. And
Yeah.
we don't have the groundwater data that you have in the other plan sets in this one, so just for completeness' sake, if we can have it across all 3.
Yeah, I actually tried to do some tests down on this lot before I realized there was sewer available. And I could dig out that soil test data and provide you with that. So I did do tests. I'll add that information to the plan, even though we're not doing the septic system here. That information would be helpful for you to see the depth of groundwater.
Okay, as long as the commission thinks that that's helpful, relating back to the rooftop infiltration
Yep.
and the porous pavement.
The answer is yes.
Okay. My more generic questions were, is there any way to have all 3 lots on town sewer? It's just, I know you said there's a stub there, so does that make it only suitable for one house? I don't know the ins and outs of how that works.
Yeah, that would be up to the sewer commissioners. I could ask them. Generally, when they leave one stub, it's for one house. But we could talk to them and find out how they feel about that.
Yeah, it'd probably be even if you have to pump it, it's probably a savings over the septic. But that's up to you guys to kind of investigate that. Our only consideration is obviously of reduction of nitrogen into the soils, that's all.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to make a note that all 3 lots show limit of work. We ask for limit of disturbance, and I know it sounds like splitting hairs, but the reason we ask for limit of disturbance is sometimes to a contractor, limit of work is like, you're actually like constructing a house or, paving a driveway or something, and that's work. But if they think,
We'll change that. We'll change that. Now that I'm going through a revision, we'll definitely change that. Yeah.
okay, just let me finish though. So to them, work is those physical things that you're doing. But if they decide that there's a hazardous tree or something they need to remove beyond that line, sometimes they don't think of that as work. So that's why we ask for it to be limit of disturbance, because then it would encompass other perimeter things that might come up when this is handed over to a contractor.
Got it.
My only other question was just if you had any plans for the holder of, noted a conservation restriction out back, and I just wanted to ask the question of, did you have any intention to ask this commission to hold it? If you haven't figured that out yet, that's okay. I just wanted to ask.
I haven't given that any thought. I thought the easement does it fall on more than one lot?
I think it was across all 3.
Just falls
Yes.
on the lot 3. All of that's on lot 3. So lot 3 would.
It's in the back of 1 and 2 as well.
Oh, it is. Yeah. So,
Yep.
Yeah. So it will be partially held by 1, partially held by 2, and the rest would be on lot 3. So each family would have to. They would not be allowed to cut down trees and do work there in those areas.
Yeah, but someone has to hold that conservation restriction, whether it's Concom, or whether it's the Grafton Land Trust or some other entity. That's just how the conservation restriction works.
I would take the Grafton. I'll have to talk to my client, but I would recommend the Grafton Land Trust. Yeah.
And that's fine. I certainly don't have a preference. Anything else, Leah?
That's all I have for questions. The only thing I had left was I put in 4 potential special conditions that I copy pasted from other projects that used porous pavement.
Yeah.
So when we get to the point of discussing conditions, I can walk you through those.
Okay, so let me first go through the commission to see if anyone has any questions or comments, and then we can open it up to the public. Emily, any questions or comments?
No questions for me, thank you.
All right, thanks. Travis?
Leah or Jan, is the wetland delineation report in the folder? I could not find it.
Might have been inside of a PDF.
I always have a hard time finding it.
Yeah, I think it's attached to the end of an NOI.
Okay, I'll keep looking. And then I thought I heard that this stormwater calculations are being met based on the shrub mix being planted in the light green areas. Is that correct?
Well, in the yellowish green.
Or
areas.
yellowish?
It's a
And-
different, yeah, surface cover, but
So how is that seems like it's an important feature of the plan. How does that get conveyed to the future homeowner or what prevents them from just mowing that, I guess is my question.
good question. I would say first we have to look at the stormwater report to see if it actually includes the different cover types. If it does, then we would want some sort of deed restriction of a requirement of keeping
Okay.
that vegetation there.
I don't think I've seen this situation come up.
I mean, I've done it for projects. And then it was mowed 5 years later.
Yeah.
Very,
that's-
yeah.
So
Okay.
Sandy, the deed restriction would probably have to say something that they're restricted from ever trying to expand their lawn area.
Yeah, we'd have to come up. I would say, let us first check to see what's in the stormwater report.
Yeah.
And then kind of respond to that.
All right.
There's also, when you're thinking of conditions, Leah, I mean, because of the driveway being a porous system and being the drainage for the site, there has to be a restriction that they can repair it, but they can't replace it with standard hot mix asphalt.
That's a good one, yeah.
That's it for me. Thanks.
Great. Jonathan?
Because it is porous pavement, do we in Concom get into I've seen these on jobs before, and usually the idea is, or the issue that comes up is that they use sand or something and then the sand clogs it. Is there a cleaning mechanism for this, or is it something that it's just on the homeowner to, I figure if you sand this thing over 10 years, the porous pavement's probably clogged, right? Unless it's some,
You do it
So-
over the first winter and it's clogged.
so
Yeah, so there's an O&M. The good news is a lot of homeowners will not sand, but they'll salt. So the salt doesn't clog it. It's not great because it infiltrates into the ground.
Right.
But typically when we do an O&M for porous pavement, you would only salt if it's a hazardous condition, i.e. an ice storm or something, But other than that, the good news about porous pavement is that unless it's in a very shady area, it because it's free flowing, whenever there is snow melt, it goes right through the porous pavement. So you don't have as much ice on a porous system than you do on obviously regular pavement. But you always can have that corner or something that never sees the light. But I would think that, the homeowner should be aware of what the operation and maintenance is. For a driveway, it shouldn't be very extensive. Leaf litter is probably going to be the biggest thing and just kind of blow it off. And leaf litter is organic. It'll actually break down after a while too. So
okay. No, that's
good
a
question
point.
though. Good question
The-
though.
The only other question I had is on, I don't know if it's the farthest north on this plan lot.
Lot one.
So lot one, sorry. I had a question kind of similar to what Travis said, which is if you look at the fingers of this kind of, I know that the dark green is woodland and then you've got this shrub mix and then you've got, but maintaining that line and the square footage that's required there, that's definitely a concern of mine because again, whether it's signage or a deed restriction or something, I would think that the inherent push would be to expand the lawn towards the tree line there, especially if you've got a smaller strip. That's a 10-foot driveway. you've got a 5-foot strip on the northern edge of that turnoff for the parking spot there. So I just have a little concerns over, it looks very choppy, and maybe it's just this plan because this is a more preliminary diagrammatic plan here, but that was my only other concern.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I don't know which, this is on sheet 1, whatever. If you slide over and look at, the lot 1 house, and then you look at the grading around it, and you're going to find a lot of them are slopes. So those areas of shrub is not a flat area. So, so that, but it's a good question, because I agree with you that, if that kind of shrub area just turns back to woods, that's fine. But they're mainly on slopes is when I was looking at some of the grading. The lawns are low areas. And if you look at like this one here, there's a retaining wall to the south. So again, you got some physical barriers to expanding the lawn, but it's a very good question to ask, because if there is a flat area, like if you look on this plan and you can see the driveway coming in, if you look to the left, look to the right as you come in the driveway, that's one of the flattest areas, and it's showing all the trees to remain. Back to what Leah had said, as far as contractors making things a little bit easier for them to do the work. It's suspect as far as if that tree line will actually remain like that. So it's how we word our order of conditions, and how we should be realistic about what will stay and what will not stay.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
the
helpful.
contractor will need to hire us to flag the tree clearing.
Yep.
And to stake out all the pavement and the septic in the house. I have never been asked to stake out the bushes line, but I think in this case, we're gonna have to do that.
Yep. And I think, I forget who said it. It might have been Norm. It's more about what can remain as lawn. If it's just a shrub area that turns to a wooded area, we don't care. It's not like we're going to make them maintain it as shrubs. It's really just having a dense cover over it. So it's more about not expanding the lawn area as opposed to the transition from shrub to trees.
Mhm.
My take on it.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right. All right. Did I miss anyone on the commission? I've already asked the questions, and I think, I actually think porous pavement is a good option. The only thing is, I think what we talked a lot about is the O&M part of it. It's having a restriction that it can't be changed out, or they have to come back and redo their drainage or something, those type of things. It's really having an educated homeowner to understand what that porous pavement means and the responsibility of upkeeping it. So,
Mhm.
so any other thing to add to that, Leah? Otherwise, I'll open it up
Nope.
to the public. So if anyone is online that like to ask a question or offer a comment, I'm happy to see that the museum actually has some flexibility and can potentially, try to create a little bit more viability in it remaining there. It's their property; they can do what they want with it, type of thing. And I think that's all the questions I had. Anyone in the audience raising their hand or anything?
Nothing from the public.
Okay. So as far as the updates, Norm, do you have any questions? You can always reach out to Leah.
No, I've taken a couple pages of notes, and I realize what needs to be done, and we'll get these plans revised. I request a continuance for all 3 lots.
And that's to September 5th, or would you like it at a different date?
Maybe 2 weeks after that.
Okay, that would be September 19th.
Yeah.
All right. We still don't have anyone for the public. Do I have a motion to continue this public hearing for lots 1, 2, and 3 until September 19th?
So motioned.
Do I have a second?
Second,
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Emily,
yes.
Jonathan,
Yes.
Travis.
Yes.
I am also a yes, and I also want to point out and say thank you to whoever, Jan or Leah, who put the upcoming meetings at the bottom of the notes. Thank you very much for that. I could look down and sound smart, so thank you for that.
Thank you. Everyone, have a
All
good
right,
evening. I'll
you
catch you
too.
later.
Yep.
Yep.
All right,
Thank
so
you.
that's that one. Next one was for 8 o'clock, so we're a little bit behind, so we can jump right into this one. Okay, 245 Upton Street. Okay, pursuant to the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, and Conservation Commission hold a public hearing to act upon a request for determination of applicability for the treatment of aquatic invasives at 245 Upton Street. You're on.
All right, so I'm gonna present this one because recreation is currently between directors. Basically they want to renew, they had an RDA with us for this before. I think it expires in like a week or two, so they basically just want to renew the plans to do the same thing they've been doing. They have invasive fanwort, variable milfoil, and algae in the beach area that they're looking to treat with herbicides. They gave the names of Reward Clipper and then Algicide, as well as they want to put the benthic barrier back, which is I believe it's a plastic material that goes down on the bottom surface of the pond, and then it's held down in place with various things. It can be like pins or staples, or it can be concrete blocks. It's the same idea as when you would put like a black trash bag down on your lawn to kill off a section of weeds. Same idea, just underwater. So they're looking to just do all of this in the beach swim area at Silver Lake. And I believe that's all I have for you.
Yep. And how, I mean, they've been doing this for years, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
So, and we've gone through this, but it is an opportunity for the commissioners and the public to kind of respond to that. So I'll go around to the commission. If anyone has any questions, Emily.
I feel like I should have questions, but I don't yet.
Not a problem. And we've gone through some of the stuff previously, but this is a new commission, so everyone has the opportunity to ask questions. Travis,
Nope.
Jonathan.
No questions.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've asked a lot of questions in the past. This isn't something new, so, and it is only in the area of the beach to, so
Yep.
that it's just nicer to swim instead of swimming in weeds. I think we also need to check in with the public. If anyone is on the call and has any questions or comments about this, we'd be happy to answer those questions. Okay. Just waiting for that. Then do we have any specific conditions?
Yeah. So I'd recommend a negative determination. There's two conditions. One, that they get the applicable license from DEP, which they talk about in the narrative, to apply the herbicides, as well as posting the shoreline warnings that they also talk about in their narrative.
Okay, that sounds good. Quick round. Does anyone have anything else to add to conditions? Emily?
No, thank you.
All right, Travis,
Nope.
Jonathan.
Nope.
I also have none, and I also took enough time. Does anyone in the public have raised their hand?
Nothing from the
That's-
public.
Okay, thank you very much. So can we get a motion?
I make a
go-
motion to close the hearing and issue a negative determination with the special condition that they obtain license from DEP and post shoreline warnings for 245 Upton Street, which is at Silver Lake Beach.
All right, do I have a second?
Second that,
A motion and a second, roll call vote. Emily,
yes.
Travis.
Yep.
Jonathan,
Yes.
I am also a yes. So the motion carries. All right, we can continue on at 38 and 40 Adams at 8:15. Since it's after that, we can read that in 8:15. Okay, pursuant to the Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Grafton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing to act upon a request for determination of applicability for construction of a single family houses at 38 and 40 Adams Road. Who's here to speak to that?
I am, Madam Chair, James Tatro.
Okay, you got the floor.
Thank you. Again, James Tatro, working for Azimuth Land Design, here representing the applicants, which are Adams Street number 8 LLC and Cart for lot 30 for number 38, excuse me, and Carson Ransford for number 40. And this is the proposed construction of 2 single-family homes for which septic systems have been approved. We're in front of you because, and this is my fault, I neglected to note that under the town's wetland bylaw, you also recognize a buffer zone off of flood zones. And what you see on the sheet on the screen is that at the back of lot 38, or I keep saying lot 38, number 38, the more southerly lot, by one of the bends of the property line there, you see a line with AE written on it a couple times, AE. That's flood zone AE. It's the 100-year flood from the FEMA maps is expected to extend just to touch that property. And you see a 25 and 100-foot buffer line out, radiating out from that, and it touching both of these lots. The lots themselves are in fantastic Hinckley series soil, hydrosoil group A. Wonderful stuff, not especially prone to erosion. There was some work done years ago. At the top of the screen is number 42. That's an existing house that's there in place. Its driveway is in place. And its driveway comes off of, you see at a certain point, that driveway is wider. Where it says existing driveway. That was a previously approved common driveway, which is the access for all 3 of these lots. And again, that is in place already to that point where it's hatched. This right now is kind of mostly sort of a meadow cover. And again, as I say, what's being proposed is the construction of these 2 single-family homes, both with some work within the buffer zone of a flood zone. The actual wetland, I got on another screen here anyways, the town's GIS is, to judge by the representation of the town's GIS, is more than 200 feet away. I suspect it's a little closer than that, but it's not within 100 feet. And looking at the soil maps, the wonderful Hinckley series soil, the hydrosoil group A, super gravelly, sandy stuff, actually probably extends about 150 or so feet behind the eastmost line, the back lines of both of these houses, which fits the designation of there not being wetland within 100 feet of these properties. So to sum up, we are going to propose an erosion control barrier at the back of these lots. That's not even necessarily the limit of disturbance because there's meadow that they can just mow as is. But that's where we're proposing that they put that so that nobody's moving a truck around for any driving around for any purpose is going to bump into anything. And that'll be in place before any of the work begins. And we would just ask, we're asking for a negative determination, obviously with the condition that protective barriers be put in place first. And I'll just try and answer any questions that you have. And I think the applicant may also be online if it gets into any issue of timing or anything.
Okay, Leah, you want to go through your kind of comments on this one?
Sure. So previously, the total altered area across the 2 lots was going to be 42,900 square feet, which would have triggered our stormwater bylaw. I talked with James Tatro today. about that threshold. He brought it down to what you see now. The red line, which is 39,300 square feet. So it would just be below our threshold for our stormwater bylaw. So that led me to, I guess, a question for the commission. Can we require an as-built plan under a determination of applicability? And the reason I ask is I feel like we should have a condition that maybe we get an as-built plan to show that they stayed under the 40,000. Otherwise, they'd have to do an after-the-fact filing under the stormwater bylaw.
That's a really good question because there is some debate on what you can ask for an RDA. I would say, it's pretty common to do conditions. The alternate way of doing that is to request the applicant to actually stake the limit of disturbance so that it can be field checked based on their plans. So it's kind of a pre-as-built, so you don't actually have to require documentation afterwards. I don't know
Okay.
how you feel about that. It's just a way to keep it a little bit cleaner.
So you
And-
mean stake it out before they start?
Yep, stake out the limit of alteration. You've got a line on here, you stake it out.
One quick point I just wanted to emphasize is that the intention right now is that lot 40 is to go ahead right away, but lot 30 may lag, 38 Adams Road may lag behind that timing wise. Just so you know, if it's staked out and you see, one of them is proceeding along and the other is, there's sort of nothing happening on the other one for some period of time. I don't know how long that may be. I know we're talking about these as a package deal, but they're not necessarily going to proceed at the same time.
I mean, I don't think from my perspective, that's, if you put stakes in, that'll be fine.
Okay.
You can freshen it and so forth, and then they can use I don't know if it's the same owners, but then they can use the other lot as staging, so.
Fair enough.
Okay, anything else, Leah?
Nope, that's all I have.
Okay, I'll go through the commission, and I have a couple questions. Emily, any question?
No questions, thank you.
Travis, any questions?
Nope.
Jonathan?
No questions for me.
I have a couple quick questions. So you're showing that it's an AE zone. What's the elevation of that AE zone?
Well, just a little bit, it'd be off the bottom end of the sheet to a little bit to the south. The elevation is 390. When you,
Okay.
I've got another sheet I've got here, the FEMA map showing. And a little bit north of number 42, the existing house that shows here, it's 394. So elevation wise, it does sort of fit. They're expecting it to be 391 and change or something along those lines at this point, and that does fit the topography that's at the back of the lot.
Okay, so you said the AE is 394?
Well, it's 394 north of here. It's
Okay,
390,
Gotcha.
390 even south of here. So it
Gotcha.
does fit proportionally.
Okay, gotcha. You'd interpolate between the two. My only other question is, because it goes along the 392 contour, plus or minus. My only other question is, have you checked to see if there's any preliminary FEMA updates? Almost all of Eastern Mass have updates at the moment, and finding that,
I'm looking at it right now on my screen, and I don't see. It looks just like this representation. I
Yep.
don't see anything new.
Yep, and that's fine. I mean, sometimes they're just adding floodways. Sometimes
Yeah.
the 394 becomes 396. So it's just, even though it's not technically in place for the FEMA for flood insurance, it's based on new updates to the whatever study they've done on.
Yeah, this still says that it's still the July 16, 2014 mapping.
Right, yeah, and that's why when you go to the preliminary one, it's a separate section in FEMA, and it's just have run into almost every site working on in Eastern Mass has the FEMA updates to them. So, and just be an FYI, because what you don't want to do is have a preliminary change the FEMA to to 295 in this area, and then all of a sudden have your houses within the floodplain.
Yep.
It's less about
Point.
us. It's less about us. It's how flat this site is,
Yep.
and some of the changes I've seen in on so many of the floodplains, and they're all marked as preliminary. They have a whole. The website is good on FEMA, and they actually have a comparison mapping tool that you can look at too.
Good point.
Okay. Those are the only questions I had. There was no other questions. We'll put it out to the public if anyone has any comments or questions from the public. And if we don't hear anything, then we'll go ahead and do a vote on this RDA. And the RDA will have one condition on it, that the limit of disturbance would need to be staked. And we should make a finding or have a finding that this RDA is due to local bylaw only and not the state. And I'm kind of talking slow to see if anyone in the public raises their hand. And I'm looking at Jan and she's checking.
Nothing.
And the answer is nothing. Okay, which means we can go on to a motion. So do I have a motion for 38 and 40 Adams Road?
I make a motion to close the hearing and issue a negative determination under wetlands bylaw with special condition that an as-built, do you want me to read that part?
No, actually, because we're not going to say as-built plan, that the
Okay.
limit of disturbance is staked.
That the limit of the disturbance is staked for
Yep.
38 and 40 Adams Road.
Very good. Do I have a second?
Second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Emily,
Yes.
Jonathan,
Yes.
Travis.
Yes.
I'm also a yes. So we're all set with that one.
Thank you, folks. Thank you for your
All right.
time.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Look at that. We still can keep on going. Okay, so 830, 85 Fitzpatrick Road. Okay, shift back to this one. Look at that. I get to flip the page. Okay. So, okay, pursuant to the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing to act on notice of intent and application for Grafton Wetlands Bylaw permit for the construction of 2 wetland crossings to a single-family house at 85 Fitzpatrick Road. Who's here to discuss that?
That'd be Bob Murphy.
Okay,
Okay, I think I've unmuted here. Now I'm trying to see if I can get the camera to work. Not really sure of that, how that goes, but is there a setting to turn on the camera?
usually there's a little movie camera at the bottom that you can turn on. Are you on?
Start the video. Okay, there we go.
There you go. We got you. Yep.
Okay, there it is. My client was not able to join us. I guess they're having technical problems with their computer. But anyway, my name is Robert Murphy, Murphy Associates, Environmental Consultants. I'm here tonight representing Catherine Ebeling, 85 Fitzpatrick Road, Grafton. This is an existing lot, 17 acres. It was subdivided from a larger lot. It was approximately 27 acres. So it's now one of 2 lots abutting Fitzpatrick Road. And it basically goes around and behind the house located at 87 Fitzpatrick Road. The family that owned this, they had a farm, they owned a lot of land in this area. It was the Gregoire family. You might recognize the name. I've seen them on the abutters list for different projects, but what we're proposing is to develop a single family house I don't know if you have the PDF plan. I'm not able to share it with you, but we're proposing a single-family house. It requires crossing a stream, an intermittent stream, where the property narrows down. Okay, great. This is it. This is an interesting project. If I could, in order to explain why we went to the design we used, in order to get to the property, you pretty much have to cross a stream to get to the backland. But the history of Fitzpatrick Road is the road used to come right up to the stone wall that you see on the right side of the plan. It says 25-foot buffer zone, and then there's a stone wall crossing. Fitzpatrick Road used to be in that area. It was relocated about 60 years ago to be in its current position. However, when the road was up higher, it was a turn, it was a dangerous turn. They took that out. There was a water problem on the road, and we kind of went through the history of it in that a hand-dug swale was created pretty much where if you look at the top of the plan, it says water supply protection overlay. Right there, there's a swale. It's about 3 or 4 feet wide. It's really not used all that much now, but it is there. And in when we took a look at the 100-year flow, there was definitely flow going through that swale down towards the wetland below. If you look to the right, the lower right corner, you'll see an 18-inch corrugated metal pipe. That's the original pipe that went under the original Fitzpatrick Road. It's still there. It's subject to a lot of erosion and mud that actually came in from the property next door. A lot of it came in from Waterview property. They had done some construction there in previous years, but the pipe is pretty much full of mud, and it does flow very slowly. There's a low area there. It's acting as a natural detention basin, and it fills up with water, especially with the type of rain we had today. It'll fill up with water, and after about 24 hours, it drains out. So we're suggesting that pipe be cleaned out and plugged if possible. It's quite long. It's over 100 feet long, and it goes under Fitzpatrick Road, comes out the other side into a ditch. The reason I suggest that is because we're showing a crossing there with a 12-inch pipe. It's really not a natural stream, so we had proposed a pipe in that area. We have a second crossing as you proceed into the site where there is an intermittent stream. And we chose the narrowest spot there. It's about 8 feet wide. There's also some very large boulders there where the area has been eroded over the years. There's a lot of erosion where the stream is. It drops a bit, but it was a good place to put a crossing because it's narrow and it's pretty much 50% rock at this time already. Anyway, that area drains down towards the pipe that I mentioned earlier. And so technically we have 2 crossings in that area. There's also a swale that runs along Fitzpatrick Road. A fairly significant amount of drainage was going toward that area. So we chose to put in a 12-inch pipe, and that's just off the road, about 25 feet off the road. We chose to put a 12-inch pipe there. And what I found out when we took a look at the hydrology was that there was a fairly good amount of water there. So this area we chose to use for the flow into a replication area, replicate replicate the wetland areas that we're proposing to fill. But also, we had very similar characteristics, very similar soil. It's a Hinkley sand, very well drained. And we could pretty much replicate a similar swale as we have adjacent to the stone wall. We found that we could replicate very similar type of thing there. So we chose to include that as a stream replication flowing toward the bordering vegetated wetland, BVW replication. Like I say, that the site is 17 acres, fairly substantial. The house and the septic system are actually right off of this plan, but the septic system is 100 feet outside, away from the wetlands, and the house is somewhat near the wetland. But the main concern of the project really is to gain access to the upland area. And so we, as I say, we're showing what I consider to be an intermittent stream crossing. And I did take a look at the quick review. And there was some suggestion that we do, the wider crossing for, the wildlife habitat crossing. I wasn't sure that was really necessary here because the stream is quite close to a pipe right now, and the pipe is plugged. So you're really not getting any real movement of amphibians or fish or anything like that in the area. So I looked at it more as a crossing without habitat, without wildlife habitat. And the first swale crossing that I saw, I looked at that as really a hand dug. It's a hand dug ditch. You can see the pile of dirt that's beside it. It was dug. It looked like it was dug about 80 or 100 years ago. And it does carry water, once in a while, when a 50 to 100 year storm, it is subject to flow. And of course, the type of rain we've had recently, we've seen some flow there. The leaves are being pushed down, layering in. But I don't believe we have a DEP file number at this time, so I really haven't had a review from them or any summary. But with that, I'll give it back to the commission, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
All right, thank you. Leah, you want to go through your comments?
Sure. So in the NOI, you have that it's not a limited project, but it is, so that checkbox needs to be changed because you're crossing the wetlands. That's letter E in the section on limited projects. You'll also need to request a waiver and pay the waiver fee to be working in the no disturb. And then we sent this to Art to get a quote for wetland peer review, and then he sent back preliminary comments of things that are missing before he starts his review. So that list was a narrative about compliance with the regs, guidelines, and performance standards, especially for stream crossings. As Bob Murphy mentioned, the culverts do not appear as wide as the streams they're crossing. And he noted that there's no reference to the new replication guidelines from DEP that require additional characterization of the impacted and the replicated wetlands.
All right, thanks. I mean, to me, it's as far as getting back to do a single home, and I just wanted clarification that you're not looking to do anything but one house there on the entire, whatever it was, 17 acres. And again, we would probably put a condition on here that no further, houses could be added to this based on that statement and so forth. And the fact that you're crossing wetlands and filling wetlands to get to that one house, which, is fine. It's just that we wouldn't want to see it subdivided anymore. Yeah, my first kind of gut reaction was looking at at the culverts and trying to figure out, and I haven't looked at any of the stormwater report and so forth, but what the flows are, and 12-inch pipe is not very big. It probably is fine for where the area of the non-wetland is, but you got a pretty substantial swale that you're really necking down. So it's really understanding how much is going through that swale, and then almost how much is going through that intermittent stream, and just kind of check to make sure that those culverts are properly sized, and if they do have to meet the stream crossing, and if they have to meet those guidelines, then that needs to be, shown on the plans and so forth. And I do realize that, we do have the new replication guidelines, which is what we'd be looking to do. That's kind of my basic questions when you look at the location of the septic. That's outside the 100-foot buffer in general, and then the houses within the 50 to 100. And that's pretty much my kind of questions on it. Let me go around the commission to see if anyone else has any other questions. Jonathan,
Nope, no other questions.
Travis,
Not right now. Nope.
okay, and Emily.
No questions, thank you.
Okay, yeah, we understand that we don't have the DEP number yet. We also don't have their comments. So I think the other concern is the fact you're proposing replication, which is absolutely what's required, but it's also making sure that those replication areas are designed and installed correctly. And we typically in the past have always had Art Allen, our wetlands peer reviewer, to review those plans and also to monitor them as those replication areas go in. We've just not always had great luck, and that's why there is actually new guidelines for replication areas, because many replication areas have not resulted in the function as desired. So having said that, I don't know, Bob, if there's anything else that you have questions for us.
Well, yes, if I could, based upon some of the questions you had, actually, prior to sizing the pipes, I did a complete HydroCAD analysis, which I could give you. We did an analysis because I wanted to make sure I didn't get blown out here with these pipes. And there's a fairly substantial flow that comes down from the hillside. It more or less splits in two, and I would say 40% of it, 40% ends up in that swale, and the rest of it has a shorter time of concentration, goes into the stream. But we looked at the 12-inch pipe, and we had even in the 100-year storm, it was about 80% full, but the pipes themselves were not, overtaxed. They were not overtaxed, and but I will provide you with that. I did a comprehensive review of it, following HydroCAD requirements to just assure myself, and I can provide you with that. I do have a question. It was actually a question from my client. They were looking at the cost of the peer review at this time, and the question was, does this peer review cover, say, construction and a review of the replication and things like that, or is it just a review of the original plans? Because the price, they felt that the price was a little bit high.
So Leah, you want to answer that?
I believe it's application review at this point in time, but I gotta pull it up. 1 second.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask a question because they asked me. And the question was, is there a process by which you can have sort of a bidding of more than one consultant to do the peer review? Because the remark that was made was, it was like, it was beginning to look like a no bid contract.
So, we can do that. I'll pick a couple other consultants. I think we use the consultants we do because they're timely and they are very affordable. It is the world we live in as far as consulting goes. Yeah, but we're just not going to allow the applicant, to pick someone. We would go out to other.
No, that's not the point at all. What their question was, is there a process by which the commission could ask for, a bid or a review, just to see if, someone else might.
We can, we do, if there's a conflict, go out to other consultants. We can certainly have a discussion on that. It's not typically done. That is a lot of extra work for our staff. And, it's time, and time is money for our staff to do that. So as far as the process we go through, we try to be very efficient with our peer reviewers. Peer reviewers are, they do multiple, commission and planning board. So we try not to double dip on anything. And we're very aware of, trying not to, increase the cost, but you're doing 2 wetland crossings on this one. So it's, and you're doing a replication area. So this is a site that's going to take some design to it. And it's also going to take some review of that design. So.
Well, I appreciate your explanation of the fees, and I think that I can explain that to the client. It sounds as though you folks have gone out of your way to try to, get the most reasonable, as you say, efficient review.
Yeah.
Time is money, that type of thing. So I will, like I say, I'm in agreement with the commission. It sounds like you've probably been asked this question before too.
Actually, this is the first time for that. A lot of times we end up going outside just simply because there's a conflict of interest, and we absolutely have no problem. We've done it in the past, but this is the first
like I
time
said,
we've done competitive bidding. Question.
It's a question that came up.
Yep,
Okay,
not a problem.
As I say, I will give you additional information relative to the drainage computations, and also take a closer look at Art Allen's. He had already made some comments about crossings and things like that.
Yeah.
So at this point, I would request to continue the public hearing to a scheduled time that works for you, based upon your schedule, and hopefully I will have a DEP file number, by prior to the next meeting.
All right. So our next 2 meetings, we have one September 5th and one September 19th.
Okay, September 5th, I won't be here. So can we go for the 19th?
Absolutely no problem.
And at that would allow me a little more time to work with Art Allen. Generally, I like to work with him directly once we get connected here, and we will, I guess he's going to review the wetlands, and so there may be some questions there too. So that'll give me some time.
All right, and then that's great. I would like to just open up, if anyone is attending this meeting, is online and have any questions or comments about this specific project in front of us at 85 Fitzpatrick Road, please raise your hand.
We have one hand raised from Scott Goddard.
Absolutely.
Hey, good evening. This is Scott Goddard. How is everyone doing this evening?
Fine. What can I do for you? What questions do you have?
So a professional wetlands consultant, owner of Goddard Consulting, been before you guys many times. I am here representing the owners of the adjacent property to the south. It is referred to as What a View Realty Trust. And the owners of the trust are Andrew and Donna Hebb. So they have asked me to sort of represent them on their behalf, a review of this project as it goes through the process. So, I know Art well and the commission here, and, does a good job, but, I will be keeping a little bit of an extra eye on it on their behalf per their request. I have reviewed the initial notice of intent submittal. I have a few, sort of comments and things like that. It might not be appropriate to bring all those comments out at this early phase, but I would like to request a couple things out of the gate. One is if Leah could kindly send me the peer review letter from Art or proposals or any other public record documents that come as a result of this application. If you could copy me on an email to include those so that I can have it, that would be helpful. And I would also ask Mr. Murphy and Norm perhaps, is when you're doing a site walk or with Art or whatever, if your client would allow me to join you on the site or to enter onto the property. I don't like to trespass without permission, but so I would like to see if that is something that could be accommodated.
Well, I could step in right now and let you know that I could, I'll run that by the client. Apparently they have technical difficulties, so they're not responding, but yeah, I'll bring that to their attention. I know that there was some friction between your client, What a View. There was some friction where they were doing some work on my client's property within the buffer zone.
So we don't
without
really,
the-
so I'll kind of stop you there. That's, if they want to bring that up in a public hearing and so forth, we'll let those participants too. But and the other thing for you, Scott, is understand your role and so forth. I think it would be helpful when you get to a point, and if you've looked at this, if you could put your comments in writing.
Yeah, for sure.
It just makes it so we can keep a proper paper trail so that we get everything. So
Yeah, no question about it, for sure.
okay, all right, sounds good. Anything else at this time?
Sandra, let me state unequivocally that my client has no intentions of further subdividing this property. They realize that they have enough frontage for one single family house, one lot on this property, and that's the intent of the crossing. It's for a driveway for a single family house, and that is all they have planned. There's it's not a backdoor entrance to some sort of a subdivision or anything like that. It's a very large piece of property, and they want it to remain pretty much undeveloped.
I appreciate that. All right, Leah, anything else at this point?
No.
Okay, I will open it up to the public again. If there's anyone else that has any questions or comments, please raise your hand. Other than that, we don't have the DEP number yet, right, Leah?
Correct.
We don't have the DEP number or their comments. And again, the applicant has requested a continuance already to the 19th. I'm just waiting to see if there's anyone else in the public that wants to raise their hands. If not, can I have a motion for continuance to September 19th? Excuse me.
I make a motion to continue the hearing for 85 Fitzpatrick Road to September 19th.
All right, do I have a second?
Second that,
All right, do a roll call vote. Emily,
yes.
Travis,
Yes.
Jonathan,
Yes.
I am also a yes. So the hearing has been continued to the 19th. All right, thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much. Thank you
Yep.
for your time.
All right, have a good one.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay. next one up, we're now into continuances, correct?
Correct.
Leah? No more date or time certain stuff.
Right.
We can just rock and roll till we're done. Okay, sounds good. 25 Old Westboro's up next.
Yep.
Is there any other way, any ones that we should do in a different order?
No, you're good.
Sounds great. If my voice can hold up, we'll get this done. So pursuant to Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing to act a request for determination of applicability for the installation and removal of utility poles in the right of way at 25 Old Westboro Road. And who is here to discuss that? Go ahead and unmute and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jim Bolduc. I'm from VHB. Here this evening on behalf of the Massachusetts Electric Company, for the pole removals and replacement project.
Yes. And you want to give us any updates? Other than that, I think.
Yes, I sent Leah information from the National Grid Forestry Group. They are going to need to take down some trees between pole 11 and pole 13. Some of those trees that I sent Leah are in the uplands, but there are also some maples that are in the wetlands as well. Leah had asked me previously if we were going to take the stumps out, and I contacted National Grid, and they said that they are leaving the stumps in. So there will not be any stumping between pole 11 and pole 13.
All right. Thank you for that update. Leah, anything else to add?
No, I'm fine with that. And then I just have a finding and a couple other things for when we're taking a vote.
Okay, so let's go around. I think we had a couple questions and comments from the last hearing. I think they've been addressed, but let's double check. Jonathan, any questions that continue?
No.
All right, Travis
Nope.
and Emily, were you here when this first was introduced?
I was not.
Did you read in and watch the,
I
and
did.
did you sign the form for Leah?
I did.
All right, thank you very much. Do you have any comments or questions?
I do not.
All right, great. I don't have anything further. Leah, if you want to kind of give your recommendations and findings at that time, while you speak, I'm going to open it up to the public. And if there's anyone on the call that has any questions and comments, please raise your hand and we'll call on you. And back to you, Leah.
All right, so I would recommend issuing a negative determination with a few things. One would be a finding that per 310 CMR 10.22A2, this project is exempt from filing an NOI. Also, we should reference that a waiver was granted at the last hearing for work within the no disturb. And
right,
two special conditions, one that the BMPs detailed in the RDA will be implemented, and another that the stumps are going to remain in place between poles 11 and 13.
All right, thank you for that. Jan, anyone from the audience raising their hands?
Nothing from the public.
All right, thank you very much. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to close the hearing and issue a negative determination with finding that per 310 CMR 10.22A2, this project is exempt from filing an NOI. Waiver was granted for work within the no disturb, and special conditions that the BMPs in the RDA be implemented, and stumps remain in place between poles 11 and 13 for 25 Old Westboro Road.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second that.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Emily.
Yes.
Travis.
Yes.
Jonathan.
Yes.
I am also a yes. Very convenient. You guys were all lined up right in a row for me to call on you, so that's very good. So the motion passes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, next one. 4 Hudson Ave. Wait a minute. All right. Pursuant to the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing to act upon a notice of intent application for Grafton Wetlands Bylaw permit for the construction of a single-family home and pool at 4 Hudson Ave. All right, Leah, what's the latest?
Good evening. This is Norman Hill, engineer with Land Planning. Everyone hear me okay?
Yep, go ahead, Norm. Your camera's a little askew, not quite you, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's
So-
okay.
So we talked about this at the last meeting. As you recall, there's a perennial stream that runs along the southern portion of this property. There's an existing house that they would like to tear down and replace with a new house. There's a cesspool that they would like to abandon and put in a fully compliant septic system. And there's a well that they would like to abandon and connect to town water. Since we last met, we've received a DEP file number and DEP comments. We also received comments from Arthur Allen. As a result of those, we've made many changes to the plan. The first change we've made is we've doubled the size of the proposed mitigation. So if you look in the southwest corner of the property, you can see conservation wildlife mix. And that's one change we've made. So we've doubled the size of that. So that size is actually going to be twice the area of the proposed increase in impervious area. Second thing we've done is that area is going to, we provided a planting plan. We're going to be planting 6 trees. So you'll have woody plants in that area, plus a number of blueberry bushes and dogwoods and a buffer zone mix. So that's another change to the plan. Then to allow for all that work to take place in that area, we've had to change the location of the proposed siltation controls. The proposed siltation controls now have been moved very close to that perennial stream to protect the perennial stream from any damage during construction. Now, we've added a number of infiltration systems. We've added an infiltration system behind the house to take care of the roof gutters coming off the back of the house. We've added a large infiltration system in the front of the house to handle all the gutters coming off the front of the house and coming off the garage. And we've added an infiltration system to handle the runoff coming from the driveway. There'll be a tree box to be installed near the entrance to the driveway to collect any water that runs off the driveway. And there's an infiltration system that will feed the water to as well. We've also added to the plan the existing and proposed impervious areas. I'd like to point out again that the proposed mitigation area is twice the area of the proposed increase in impervious area. So if you look at this overall project, the existing house has no infiltration systems. We're going to have 3. The existing cesspool has failed. We're going to replace it with a functioning, fully compliant Title V system. The well is going to be abandoned. So we believe that this proposed new house with a smaller yard, I say it's going to be a smaller yard because it's going to be much less lawn. So this new house with this proposed smaller yard and the new septic system, we believe will much better serve the adjacent resource areas, be much better for the adjacent resource areas. And we ask the board to approve this plan.
All right. Leah, as far as your comments going, as far as the response to the Ecotech peer review and specifically how much closer the proposed house is than the existing and how that does not meet specifically the regulations?
Correct. So, I mean, I got a lengthy thing here I can read out to you guys, if that's how you want me to handle it, but comments from Ecotech that still stand are that the plan still does not address or meet the specific standards for redevelopment, which were attached to his letter. He says, it is my opinion that in order for this project to be permitted, all of the redevelopment standards must be addressed. In particular, criterion C states that the proposed work, including the expansion of existing structures, can be no closer than existing conditions or 100 feet, whichever is less. On this site, new/expanded structures are proposed closer to the stream than the existing structures. This is not permittable. That was the first comment.
Excuse
Second-
me, if I could just question that comment. I mean, the existing garage is only 27.4 feet away. And the nearest point on the proposed construction is large, it's further away, it's 28.5 feet away. So we're not closer to the stream. We're actually further away.
Leah, can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
Leah, the regulations, it says it can't be closer within the riverfront area, right? So it's like within any area of the riverfront?
Can't be closer to the river.
So I get what you're saying, Travis. This is just, yes, the garage is a little bit closer. The house is in a different location. I actually don't know the answer to that specific question because
think-
it's slightly different, but it's not closer in that particular location. Go ahead, Leah.
I think it would be helpful if we could get a narrative walking through the redevelopment standards, which is what DEP is asking for. And then we would have all, the facts on paper to compare.
Yeah, and I was looking at DEP comment about the applicant has not demonstrated how this project meets the performance standards for redevelopment in RFA found in 310 CMR 10.58 5. It appears that impervious area will exceed 10%. Now, I've always understood that was a pretty much a line in the sand, in that you have to demonstrate that, and that including those close to the river. So, I mean, I think both of these, one from our peer reviewer, but also from DEP, is kind of, I think, is a basic questions of how are you meeting the Riverfront Act basic requirements, where it appears that you're not. And I think to Leah's point of going by each section and saying how you're meeting it, and I mean, the 10% is a number that you can't exceed. So, and the plan, obviously, between the house, the driveway, the pool is a lot more impervious than the existing house. And as far as, again, it's that 10%. So those are the numbers we need to see. And as far as, the fact that you're replacing a cesspool, well, guess what? You'd have to do that no matter what. And so that to me is not an enhancement, that's a requirement. So that's not a benefit. It's something that's required. And yeah, so I guess to your point, Leah, is the fact that we need a kind of point by point per the regulations, per the Riverfront Act specifically, to demonstrate that you're actually complying with them. So-
Hi, this is Tom. Can you hear me? I just want one comment on the existing cesspool. It is still Title V pass, and if we did nothing, it would still be a habitable dwelling. So I just want to weigh in on that fact. I don't want that to get washed out.
That's fine, but if you were to build a new house, it wouldn't stay. So that's,
Okay. Yep.
yeah. I mean, that to me that's what the project in front of us is, to build a new house. So if you were staying in the same house, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So,
Okay.
but I do agree with you, as long as you don't change the house, the number of bedrooms, it's grandfathered in unless it fails. And if it hasn't failed, then you can still use it. But the reality is that that's not what this project's about. This is a brand new house, a much larger house. So
If I could jump in here a second. So I have not received Arthur Allen's latest letter. Did that just arrive today?
Leah?
No, it was a little while ago, and he either CC'd you or we forwarded it. We'll send it
I have-
again.
Yeah, I have not seen that. I'm sorry, I haven't seen that.
What about the DEP comments?
I believe we've addressed all of the DEP comments, and I thought we had addressed Arthur's comments. It does say in the redevelopment regulation that if you're proposing new, an increase in impervious, you need to offer a 2-to-1 mitigation area for that increase in impervious. And so we've done that on this drawing. That's why we doubled the size of the mitigation area. It's a 2-to-1 trade-off for the increase in impervious area.
What is
So
the current square footage on your mitigation area? The latest square footage is what?
the plan you have up here now isn't the latest plan. Would you have the latest plan that, or maybe this is, could you scroll up to that number's on here, the upper left? Upper left portion of the drawing all the way over. Yeah, if you look at the numbers shown here, so existing impervious area is the first thing we speak of. The structure's impervious surfaces total 3,315 square feet of new proposed impervious area. But I'm sorry, that's existing. And then the total proposed is 5,842.
No, your mitigation area.
Oh, the mitigation area that's down and should be shown down below.
1790, right?
Right.
Okay, so then that goes back to Art's other comment. And I believe these comments are off of this latest plan, because I believe he opened the email with, this is a step in the right direction, but these things still stand. So his second one was, calculations provided indicate that the area of the new impervious surface and structures, AKA proposed degraded area, is 5,054 square feet. The area of existing impervious structures and surfaces, AKA existing degraded area, is 2,527 square feet. The difference of 3,264 square feet is the area that requires mitigation/restoration. The mitigation planting area currently proposed is 1,790 square feet. Because this area is currently disturbed, but not degraded, in accordance with criterion G, the mitigation requirement is 2-to-1, meaning that 3,264 square feet of additional on or off-site riverfront area mitigation is required to meet the standards. If this is not feasible, the other option is to reduce the amount of new impervious/degraded area proposed.
So he has different areas than I have. He's got a different area for the proposed impervious so he's got different areas. I didn't calculate the areas on this plan. My engineer did. I don't know how he's got different areas. There isn't. Someone's wrong.
Do you also have a report that has areas in it? Do you have multiple places where there's areas? And again, that we would have to ask Art if he uses this table or something else. I mean, that's.
Yeah, I'll have to see where he come up with his areas and make sure that these are all correct. I thought I had a 2-to-1 replication area. So I guess, so I haven't seen Arthur's latest letter. Now, my engineer, Stephen, is trying to get on. I don't know, can you see him, Leah? Is his hand raised?
I do have a phone number raising their hand.
Yeah, that's probably my engineer, Stephen. But Stephen calculated these areas. Stephen's a good engineer. I can't imagine he'd have the wrong area of the proposed house and garage. But Arthur clearly has different areas. We thought we had covered it.
But even if with those different areas, because they're not exactly the same, the gross numbers are similar in the gross number of the replication area, even based on these numbers we have here, is grossly underneath what the 2-to-1 should be.
Well, we
So
thought we
yes,
had that covered. Yeah. So I'm drawing a blank on that. I thought we had that covered.
Hey, Norm, I thought when we talked, wasn't that the difference of the increase that was adjusted? It was just the increase, not the total.
no, it's the difference in the increase times 2. That's what the regulations require, and that's what
We thought
both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree, and we thought we had met that. So it's I don't know where he's getting his areas from. I don't know if he's counting the swimming pool We didn't count the water in the swimming pool because when it rains, the water,
It's impervious. It is a structure and that would be my interpretation is that
well,
it's
that must be the
impervious.
disagreement right there, because I don't think we counted the water area of the swimming pool.
Well, underneath the water is an impervious liner, so. And everything around if it's a patio around it, that's impervious too, and unless it's not, a patio or something, but. I think that's, big picture, there seems to be a basic fundamental, discrepancy between the numbers that we're looking at, what Art Allen had, but the bottom line is what that replication area needs to be twice the difference. And even with the numbers here, it's not twice the difference. I can look at that by just looking at those numbers.
Yeah, and I agree, we have to meet that, so we're gonna have to revise this plan perhaps, unless he's made a mistake, but we may have to revise this plan.
Sandy.
So I'm going to request a continuance.
Go ahead, Leah.
Did you want us to pull in that phone number that's raising their hand? They do
Uh,
need to keep their hand raised, though. The flashing doesn't help. We need to be able to pick the button when your hand is raised, so.
Go ahead and try it and see who that is.
Stephen, if you're talking, we can't hear you, and if you're muted.
Can press *6 to unmute.
Hello? Can you guys
There you
hear me?
go, we can hear you now.
You want to give
All
your
right,
name?
Yeah, Stephen Balsavich, Land Planning Inc. I've been trying to get onto the meeting since you opened the meeting back at 7 and have been unable to. However, I had a question. If there's a factory within a riverfront and you open up a business and have to put ADA compliant handicap space, if it's over 5,000, do you have to remove the entire factory to get under the 5,000 disturbance, grandfathered or 10%? No.
Well, hate to tell you this, that is not the project in front of us. The project in front of us is an existing home that is being torn down and replaced by a much larger home, and it's within the riverfront. So if you want to go through the numbers of what this project is, all ears. If you want to give what ifs, I'm not going to spend time on that, to be honest.
Okay. So to go through my calculations, I'm showing that total disturbance, originally I only had the watershed protection, so we added, as Norman stated, the riverfront area calculations, and the difference between those two areas was the actual bank area between the banks. It's about, if the plan was up, it's about 1,000 square foot difference. And as a grandfathered lot,
This is
we assume
riverfront.
that
This is
10%.
Yeah, this is riverfront. I don't know
riverfront.
what you're talking about, grandfather. Riverfront is numbers.
Excuse me,
So-
Stephen,
The riverfront,
a quick question, Stephen, did you include the swimming pool and your impervious area, proposed impervious area?
yeah, so my calculations were showing that 3,315 was existing prior to the Wetland Protection Act in the riverfront area. And because of the date of the lot in the section for the riverfront, before we get the redevelopment, it stated that you get 10% or less than, or 5,000, whichever is greater. So in this case, it was the 5,000. Now there pre-existed 3,300 square feet of already disturbed area. So our alterations to the site, as shown in the calc, are the difference between the 5861 and the 3315, which predated the Wetland Protection Act. And then I took the permeable area alterations, which is the grass, the grading and stuff like that. It was about 1,378 square feet. And then we did a 2-to-1 replication at the 1790. So that's what proposed replication area is. So for this project, I'm representing the project as a whole as 2,500 in alterations for dwelling in impervious areas, 1,300 for altered permeable areas, grass areas, and I pulled out the 1,790, which is our replication. So net disturbance from what's there today is only 2,134, which is less than the 5,000 for the grandfathered lot.
I think you're misunderstanding the Riverfronts Act. And this is pretty basic, and obviously it's represented in DEP's comment, and we'd be happy to reach out to DEP to get a clarification on it. When you're giving 10,000 when you're giving either 5,000 or 10%, that is the total amount of imperviousness. There is no grandfathered part of it. It is, you know, do you meet it or not? Unless you're, you know, unless you have a building that exceeds that. So I don't understand where you're calling this grandfather part. My understanding of the Riverfront in the Riverfront Act, the amount of imperviousness and or degraded as it's called in the act, it's, you know, 5% or 5,000 square feet or 10%. That's an absolute number. That's always been black and white in the Riverfront Act. There's no kind of grandfather and I get to take impervious out. It is the impervious area within the riverfront. So I'm not sure where you're getting that. And I think that's one of the things that Art Allen is talking about, even though his numbers seem to be a little bit different. So I think we are not speaking the same impervious areas and how it refers to the Riverfront Act, because it's always been pretty black and white. It's a number, and that's the number you have to get under, or you have to, you know, in this case here, you're doing the restoration, and that's a way to get back. So I don't understand, and I've never heard that way of applying quote unquote grandfathered area in a riverfront. That's a new one to me.
So Sandra,
So-
I'd like to get a copy of Arthur Allen's letter.
Yep.
Request a continuance and revise the plan accordingly. And so I think I'm gonna need at least 2 weeks to make that happen. So I'd like to request a continuance to your second meeting in September.
All right, and that's not a
If I
problem.
could, may I ask a question?
Yep.
So if we forget my analysis right now, we're at net 5861 impervious area. And then the alterations for grading and stuff like that is 1378. So if I add those two together and take out the replication, I'm at a total of 5,449 square feet. So if we do a replication on that amount that is over the 5,000, is that applying?
So again, there's some other parts of the riverfront area, and I think, and we're happy to reach out to, you know, we have our peer reviewer who's giving their interpretation of what those numbers are. We would be happy to make, you know, Art Allen, you know, available to have a phone call with Leah on it to go through what his understanding. We're also more than willing to reach out to DEP to get those specifics, what they are, to help move this along. So I think we're just not on the same page at the moment. And I think we're more than happy to facilitate between our peer reviewer and DEP to get you, here is the numbers. You have a house on this lot and you want to take it down and add more imperviousness. What are those exact numbers on the riverfront? And here's the way you can get around it, where you look at this here, where you see people talking about, you know, disturb but not degraded in accordance with criteria G. So it's like hitting all those different things and coming up with a, you know, with the numbers, so everyone is on the same page. Because I think there's kind of two different approaches here. And me personally, all I'm looking to do is meet the regulations. And we can help facilitate to make sure that we're interpreting those those regulations correctly. That's why we have a peer reviewer, but that's also why DEP provides assistance to conservation commissioners. So when you have a case like this, we can get things based on their interpretation. And to me, those are the folks that are the ones who implement, the Wetlands Protection Act, so that we all can get on the same page. So there's definitely a disconnect on how people are calculating thing and which section, which goes back to what Leah was saying is about, we need a breakdown of this is based on this section of the Riverfronts Act. This is based on this. And here's the number at 10%. And here's, there's 10% in 5,000 square feet. This is the one we're falling under. Oh, by section, criteria G, we can do it by this. So we need that kind of analysis so that everyone is on the same page. So,
Right. We'll do that.
Understood.
Yeah.
Thank you.
yeah. And again, we're not, our only goal in this is to meet the criteria of the Wetlands Protection Act and our local bylaw. That's what we're trying to do here. And we're just, we'd like to move this along and get it resolved so everyone understands exactly the numbers so that we could move this along, and whatever happens with it, is based on the regulations. So Leah, does that sound pretty reasonable? I know that did we just get the DEP comments?
Not too recently, maybe last
Okay.
week.
Okay. So again, they also had similar questions to Art Allen. I think from Art's kind of thing about how to kind of make sure that we're hitting each one of the sections of the Riverfronts Act so that we make sure we're all talking the same numbers. And there's no discrepancies either based on previous plans or reports or whatever. We just all need to get on the same page. So that would be my next step. And, I heard that Norm wants to continue this to the 19th. I just want to make sure that's okay with the applicant. And so we can get this resolved and have all the numbers consistent for our next meeting.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right, so let me quickly go around my commission and then we can open it up to the public. If anyone has any comments or has any kind of different approaches to making sure that we all get on the same page. Jonathan.
No questions, no comments.
All right, Travis.
No, the narrative would be really helpful to figure out
Yep.
how it's compliant with the act. So thank you.
Thanks. And Emily.
No questions.
Okay, and based on that, open up to the public. If anyone's online that has any questions or comments on this, please raise your hand. We're happy to listen to any of them. Otherwise, we will be continuing this to the 19th.
And can I just list out a couple other minor things that we did not touch on?
Oh, absolutely. More, yes.
So there are a couple other outstanding things, I think, from last hearing. One was the waiver request and fee for work in the no disturb. We're still waiting on that. Limit of work changed to limit of disturbance, as we talked about earlier this evening. DEP also said the longitude and latitude needs to be corrected in the NOI, and they're asking for a tree line to be shown on the proposed plan along the upgradient edge of the mitigation area.
Okay. All right, having wrapped up those few things, do I have a motion to continue?
I make a motion to continue 4 Hudson Avenue until 9/19.
Correct. Do I have a second?
Second that.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Emily.
Yes.
Travis.
Yes.
Thank you, Travis, for sticking it out while you're sick. Jonathan.
Yes. Yes.
I am
yes.
also, yeah, I got that. And I'm also a yes. And this hearing is continued to September 19th. And please, Norm and the applicant, feel free to reach out to Leah. Let's kind of get all the numbers on the same page so we all can have some forward movement on this. So thanks, everyone, and see you on the 19th.
Thank you. Everyone stay well. Thank you.
Yep. All right, Leah, next up. 59 Pleasant.
59 Pleasant.
Okay. Whoops. I'm sorry. I have to move the cat. He's on my sheets. Okay. All right. Okay, pursuant to the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, the Grafton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing to act upon notice of intent for the construction of 4 multifamily buildings at 59 Pleasant Street. Who's here to speak to that?
Good evening, Madam Chair. My name is Steve O'Connell from Turning Point Engineering for a continued public hearing for 59 Pleasant Street.
All right, you got the floor.
Thank you. So this is a continued public hearing. The last public hearing, according to my notes, none of the commission members had any comments. We were also waiting for a DEP file number, which has since been received. DEP issued the file number and did not have any comments from their end. We were also waiting for a supplemental and follow-up review comment letter from engineering, from Graves Engineering, which we have since received. I hope you received a copy of that as well. And the only, well, there were 2 revisions that we made to the plan we provided to Jan electronically. Was we added the limit of disturbance terminology like you like to see to the plan. And also we showed a material stockpile and staging areas on the plan. So there's really only one sheet that required those revisions. So we have provided that electronically. We can provide paper full-size sets as needed. But quick overview, just because I know it's been a long night. I'm just doing this for the benefit of the members who, it's been a little while since you have a lot on your agendas. So 12.51 acre piece of property at 59 Pleasant Street. About 5 acres are existing agricultural field that gets hayed a couple times a year for a long time. We will be donating about 5 acres of the property back to the town, and what that donation really does is it fills a void that consists of existing walking trails from adjoining pieces of land owned by the town with the Conservation Commission's jurisdiction, also Mass Wildlife and the Commonwealth as individual entities. So this provides some connectivity and continuity by granting of the open space, which is on this sheet that we're all looking at, is to the southeast. So stormwater system, all the calculations have been reviewed by Graves Engineering. We can get into some specifics if you'd like to, again, about impervious coverage. But as a quick reminder, we're not asking for any waivers from your stormwater or wetland bylaw. And if you do recall, this is a 40B being reviewed by the Zoning Board of Appeals. They will be the board that will issue the permit under the bylaw and for wetlands and stormwater, because it is a comprehensive permit. So that's a brief overview. One more thing I'll add is that we are hopefully on the home stretch of permitting with the zoning board. We're just about to wrap up any traffic related issues at the next meeting, which is next Thursday. And then from there, it's really paperwork related, part of the process, the draft decision, pro forma, waivers related to other bylaws that the zoning board will have to act on. We've got a will serve letter from the water department. We've got confirmation of capacity by the sewer department. Art Allen from Ecotech provided a letter to the zoning board. You should have a copy of that, indicating that he is in agreement with the wetland delineation, no impacts on wildlife habitat, etc. So I'll leave it there. I'm happy to get into as much detail as anyone would like, or maybe enough already.
I think Yeah. Thank you for that. We do have some conditions we'd like to just kind of go through and chat about. I think we did receive, obviously, the Echo Tech and the Graves review through the ZBA, so we know that they are complete. And Leah, any other things that were outstanding? I thought this was
Nothing outstanding, just potential conditions to talk
okay.
through.
Yeah, do you want to go through the potential conditions and then we can
Sure.
chat about those?
Yeah, so I have 4. One is if it isn't already covered by a bond with the ZBA, the commission shall hold a bond for stormwater infrastructure, site stabilization, and erosion control. I guess I would add if it is covered by a bond with the ZBA, if we could just get a copy of that. The area identified as parcel A shall be conveyed to the commission prior to the issuance of a COC and final acceptance by the town. If the areas of the proposed stormwater basins are to be utilized for temporary stormwater collection during construction, they shall not be fully excavated until this temporary use is over. And all trail work shall be completed prior to the issuance of a COC.
So that's kind of our initial conditions from the staff, and obviously for as far as the bond goes, we only want to cover what's underneath our jurisdiction, and we do like to coordinate with other departments to make sure we're not double dipping. We just want to make sure that if there is an issue, that both the stormwater and the erosion control and the stabilization of the site is covered by some bond, whether ZBA or us. The rest of these are fairly straightforward. So do you have any questions on these proposed conditions?
No, nope, they seem very reasonable and straightforward. 3 out of the 4, and numbers 2, 3, and 4 are very easy to comply with. Would have expected something like that. Number 1 about the bond, I would expect the ZBA to require a bond. So I'd like to avoid some redundancies, and then on the ZBA end, they're kind of trying to thread the needle on, what did the Concom plan to cover? If it's just in your jurisdiction, then they're going to try to provide the missing piece outside. If it's no different to the commission, if you want to tailor or modify your condition that the ZBA provide a bond, and maybe you can't do that. Actually, you probably can't require something from another board. But I think administratively, Leah could send a message over to Katrina, and I would be happy to confirm that if I was copied on the email.
And as Leah said, is if these areas are covered underneath the bond from the ZBA, all we're looking for is confirmation of that. We don't need to have, we don't want 2 different bonds. Typically, a lot of, especially our stormwater projects, what we are most concerned with is stabilization of the site. Pretty straightforward.
Agreed.
So, so I would like to kind of go around to the commissioners to see if there's any other conditions or comments or questions people have. And then at the same time, as we're going through that, if anyone is online and has any comments or questions of where we're at, please raise your hand and we'll be happy to hear your questions and hopefully respond to them. So, Jonathan, anything else for this particular development at 59 Pleasant?
No, I think this clears it provides more detail than we had last time. And then again, I think the conditions are pretty straightforward. So I have nothing further.
Great, thank you. Travis?
For the trail work commitment, I'm having a moment. Are those trails documented in the plans, or was it just in the presentation?
Yeah.
Do you remember, Leah or Steven?
Sorry. Yeah, they're on the plans.
They are on the plans. Okay.
Yep.
Existing and proposed.
Okay, so the trails will be completed as described in the plans, I guess is what I'm getting at. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Emily, any questions or comments?
Questions, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have anything left at this point. We've got all the peer reviews in, and I think everything's been covered and conditions. Anyone from the public? Jan?
Nothing from
Leah?
the public.
Nothing from the public. So at this point, unless Stephen, you have anything more to add?
Just something quick. This is a little odd. Sometimes I do this with projects is we would prefer to keep it open just because I'm afraid if the ZBA wants one little tweak, I'd really like to have the ZBA and the Conservation Commission have approval of the same set of plans. So administratively, I'd like to keep it open, unless you object some,
We actually can't object. The request for a continuation is purely on the applicant. It's your decision. That's where the regulations, and if you want to keep it open until ZBA, that's your choice. I have no comments on that. I mean, if plans get revised, then you can resubmit them. Otherwise, it's up to you. And I would suggest you have a timing of when you think that you'll be done with the ZBA.
So statutorily, we're supposed to be done in October, but I'm confident that if you were to put this on your September 8th meeting, I can confidently, at that point say that we should be all set with the plans from the ZBA. Cause I just want to report back to them, that this is where the commission is at. And, they're, just kind of on hold to the ZBA.
Okay, so that's September 5th.
5th, I'm sorry.
Nope, that's fine. And there's absolutely no problem to continue it to September 5th. If that does not work out, you can always request a continuance. Obviously, we don't want continuances forever, but you've got quite a ways before we start saying anything. So other than that, I would say if you're requesting a continuance, we have no problem with that. Do I have a motion for continuance to September 5th for 59 Pleasant Street?
So motioned.
Second.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Jonathan,
Yes.
Travis,
Yes.
Emily.
Yes.
I am a yes. We will either see you or hear from you for September 5th.
Thank you all very much. See you
All
then.
right. Yep. Bye-bye. All right, Leah, things are looking up at the moment.
2 more things.
Okay, shoot.
All right. One is our third action item. We got a request for a partial certificate of compliance for 1 and 2 Abbey Road. This is 2 houses that have been built in the subdivision called Abbey Woods. The permits for the subdivision expired at the end of July. So site work has been, I required site work to stop because they don't have valid permits right now.
Okay.
The applicant will be refiling at an upcoming meeting to get current permits. But in the meantime, they're looking for a partial to clear number 1 and number 2, so those sales can go through. I'm okay doing that with one. I guess I would say it's an exception, not really a condition, and that is that number 1 was supposed to have no disturb signage and a barrier, because it's got a wetland adjacent to it. That did not go in yet, but because that's kind of under the scope of site work, which is on hold right now, the developer wanted to put that no disturb signage and barrier in when they have the new valid permits and resume site work.
Okay, so my only question on that is if they're selling it, do they have some sort of rider or something that gives them permission to do that?
Permission to go back and do it later?
Yes.
That's a good question. I think John Achu said he was here for this earlier. I don't know if that's something he can maybe speak to.
Hey, guys.
There you go. Go ahead. We can hear
There
you.
go. Hey, question for you. We had a bear of a time signing on. How do we get our video on? Do we know offhand? I didn't see a video button or anything.
You probably can't because you're an attendee. You have to be a panelist to do that.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
the-
That's why. That makes sense. All right.
The
I guess-
webinar, the webinar version of Zoom is different than the traditional.
Gotcha. No worries. That's fine. I was nervous. That's why first I signed on the computer, then on my phone when someone said he's in here twice. So anyways, no, we have not talked to the buyers. The buyers of lot lot one. We're trying to close them, obviously, we're hoping the next couple of weeks. The house is pretty close. But I did tell them that I would get back to them after this evening's meeting with whatever the plan was going forward, et cetera. They know there was a little bit of a slowdown because of what was going on. So we could talk to them about that. So may I ask what exactly it is so I can explain it to them?
Sure, go ahead, Leah, if you want. I mean, pretty much it's on the plans. It's a series of signs. Our standard sign, Leah can give you the information on those signs. It's part of the order condition. And the barrier, did we specify the barrier or was it up to the applicant?
We usually leave it up to the applicant.
So a barrier is just a visual barrier. It could be large boulders, it could be a split rail fence. It doesn't have to be anything,
And
extensive.
so what's the purpose of it? Sorry.
No, that's absolutely fine. The purpose of that condition is we have found that when we put in the 25-foot no disturb, if we don't put something there to let the homeowner know that, hey, look at this split rail fence and these signs, I shouldn't be expanding my lawn into the wetlands.
Sure.
That's all it's for.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
typically we're not trying to design it. We're just trying to say to
Right.
you have, you can tell us what you're going to do. And it's
Right,
not, we're not trying to make it ornamental fencing. It's pretty basic.
Yeah.
We have people do the boulders if you happen to have boulders on site. Pretty flexible with that. So
Wow. Yeah.
so
So this
that,
is
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's part of the order of conditions. And so
And that's for lot 10, I think, is what lot 10 already closed. Okay. That's for 10, I'm assuming? The one on the left-hand side?
The one on the left, yeah, driving in.
Okay, all right. So that's not lot 1. Okay. Yeah. You told them already?
So if they
Yes.
already closed on that, Sandy, then how do we achieve what you were alluding to?
Abby talked to them about it.
okay,
Yeah.
you basically put it on the applicant and the contractor to
Yeah.
kind of get it done. So
Okay. All right. Yeah, he talked to them about that. Okay.
so that would be
Alright.
that would be the only thing. And obviously, if one of these issues for these 1 and 2 Abbey Road, does either one of these have that condition on it?
Are you talking about
They
the
just-
Are you
The-
talking about the no disturb
Yes.
requirement? Yeah, so house number 1 needed to have no disturb signage and a barrier. It was not put in. Apparently, they already closed on that house. I'm trying to keep that no disturb signage and barrier condition as an exception to issuing a partial for 1 and 2, so that later, when the subdivision construction as a whole resumes, that developer can go back and put it in on number 1. But you were saying earlier, we need some sort of way to ensure they have permission to go back and do it.
Right. I mean, bottom line is that, it's a requirement of the original condition. It is an issue for the applicant and the contractor to get it done. If not, then we have to issue, basically enforcement order against the homeowner, which I think is something that no one wants, but we would only do that if that didn't happen. So I was trying to make it easier to make sure that
Yeah,
someone
right.
asked the question. But from our perspective, it's required. I was just trying to avoid an issue as opposed to,
Yeah, I get it. I think, so does it help if we make sure that we spell it out in the scope of work that gets re-permitted for the subdivision later?
yes, I think that would help. Yes.
Okay, then we'll make sure we call it out then.
Okay.
When did we talk about that, the extension? Did we talk about that now, or are we waiting for you finish on these 2 things first, or?
So we do want to finish on these. Our understanding is that, your permits have run out. You have to submit for new permits.
Right. So well, can we talk about that for a minute, or are we not allowed to talk about that?
Well, why don't we just take care of this?
Sure,
and
sure.
Close this
Okay.
out and then we can
Yeah.
ask afterwards. So,
Okay.
all right. So quick around the commission. Does anyone else have comments or questions on this particular one? Jonathan?
So we're amending the partial COC to include language, or how are we wording the exception? Is it still kind of as it's written, Or are we just kind of saying that we're gonna take care of it under? How are we wording that? If we.
So, to me, no, it's a good question. It's two parts. One is, this is what it says in the COC, and that, we're issuing this, with the exception of the ND signage and barrier, and that must be installed as part of, the next, or that shall be installed by the applicant at a later date. That's this one thing. And then when we go to do, a new permit, then it's in there.
It's noted. Got
Yeah.
it.
We want to
Okay.
kind of keep them separate and don't want to link them, but yeah.
No, that makes
Um,
sense. No other questions.
Okay. Travis,
Nope.
Emily.
No questions.
Okay, so why don't we have a motion for the partial COC for 1 and 2 Abbey Road?
I make a motion to issue a partial COC for 1 and 2 Abbey Road with the noted comments about the no disturb signage.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Roll call vote. Emily,
yes.
Travis,
Yes.
Jonathan.
Yes.
Okay. And I am also a yes, that motion carries. So that partial COC is issued. Okay. All right, so
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
So
yeah.
the last thing I have is something unrelated. I do not have an Abbey Woods extension on the agenda at all because there is no potential to extend an expired permit. We've been over this, Jan and I, with many people involved with Abbey Woods, so I'm not sure why the question still remains.
Yeah, we need to get the application into us.
Right. All right. Well, I had a number of questions, but I certainly don't want to sound antagonistic about it. It was a little bit surprising that we couldn't file in any way but a meeting. And look, you guys mailed out you were kind enough to send out the letter back in May. There was a lot of stuff going on over there, and we were just hoping, I guess, that, there was a mistake made last summer. I don't know if it was the planning board or with the conservation, whoever it was, but it cost us a solid 5 months. We had a fully approved subdivision to go forward, and they shut us down in April. And it cost tens of thousands of dollars and an untold amount of grief. I'm not blaming anybody, but I was hoping that we could say, look, we didn't sue, we didn't do anything like that. We just grinned and bear it and moved on with it. We couldn't do anything for quite a while after we found out that the town said, sorry, you can't go forward because we made a mistake on the uplands. So I was hoping to get some mercy, basically, is all that it was. Look, you guys do a great job. I'm not looking to complain or to give anyone a hard time, but this, there's no way that we can get this extended?
So it's not even our regulations, it's state law.
Yeah.
It's state regulations. So
okay.
Several years ago,
sorry, go
they
ahead.
changed, several years ago, they really changed it and make it more.
So is it
prescriptive.
only, okay, sorry, is it only by meeting that it can be extended? It can't be done if you handed the paper in prior to the 31st? I mean, granted, you guys, again, you sent the letter out. I'm not blaming you guys at all. And
The commission has to take a vote to issue an extension, so you have to have a commission meeting.
And
All right,
that's a
so-
public
To
hearing.
extend a permit.
All right,
Right.
because we had that happen in Worcester once where we filed and they, prior to the deadline, and they held it until the next meeting. But is that a state thing, or is that not something that is possible to do? You know what I'm saying? Because it was brought up before the 31st, but it wasn't, we said, well, there's no possible way to do it because the next meeting is not until tonight.
Right. So, and again, we can pull up the regulations and it basically.
Understood, yeah.
Basically, Leah, correct me if I'm wrong, you're supposed to get the extension 3 months ahead of time.
30 days.
30 days.
30 days ahead of
I
oh,
was
30
wrong.
days prior.
30.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, all right. Well, that's all right. I didn't understand
That's
that.
the glitch, and that was changed because there was so many issues. So
Gotcha,
that
gotcha.
30
Okay.
day, and it probably was changed years ago. It's been around for a while, but
Yeah.
there's a
Okay.
history there.
Okay.
So
I gotcha. Okay.
That's where that's coming from.
So we're starting from scratch, I guess. Is anything forwardable, if that's the right word? You know what I'm saying? It could be, or does the whole entire engineering have to be redone, or is it just?
No, it is, Leah, correct me if I'm wrong. It's just identifying the work that's remaining, correct?
Oh, okay.
you need to identify the work that's remaining, and if your delineation was done greater than 3 years ago, which it would have been, since a 3-year permit expired, you just need to have a wetland scientist double check that nothing has changed to the line.
Oh, cool. All right. And then resubmit from there. Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah.
I guess that's all good. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much. Listen,
Yep.
it was, I'm sorry we took you till 11. Is it 10? Oh, 10 o'clock. So. And Sandra, awesome cat. I have 3.
Yeah,
I'm
it likes,
a
it
cat
likes
lover,
to
so yeah.
participate, so. no.
All right, you guys have a great night.
Very good, thank you.
Thanks so much. All right, bye-bye.
All right, Leah, what else?
The last thing I have is a bit of cleanup from July, just because technically a vote wasn't made
Okay,
to appoint our representatives again to the
Gotcha.
committees. So I believe we're fine keeping Sandy, CPC, Patrick, even though he's not here to speak to it tonight. I think he was in July on open space.
yeah,
And then I just have a couple notes on Lake Quincy. I talked to Peter Collins, who's the chair over there, about changing the structure so that the Grafton Concom seat would officially be on an as-needed basis. He wasn't for it. His concerns are that we would then lose a vote on anything that they're taking up, and also everything they do on the lake eventually impacts Grafton. He said, you know, we're free to do what we want, but he wasn't for changing the structure.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if in the vote we take tonight, if Travis is comfortable being voted as the on-call LQC guy. That's
Yep.
up to you. And
That's
then I
fine.
was also wondering if you would be okay if we signed you up for their agenda email alerts. Jan and I get them right now, and we keep an eye on them to see when we feel somebody needs to go, but we felt like you should also have a look at them too.
Sorry, I was coughing. You said for me to get the agenda alerts?
Yeah, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
if you want us to just keep monitoring it, that's fine.
No,
too.
no, put me on that. That's cool.
Okay. So we just need a vote to appoint the 3 reps.
do we have a motion for this vote?
I make a motion to vote to appoint the following reps for federal year, fiscal year 24. Sandy for the CPC, Patrick for the Open Space and Recreation
Yep.
Committee, and
Yep.
Travis is an on-call for the Lake Quinsigamon Commission.
I
Do I
will
have a
second that.
Okay, we got a motion and a second, roll call vote. Jonathan,
Yes.
Travis,
Yes.
Emily,
Yes.
I am also a yes. That wraps up that little bit of business. And I think that's the last business or second to last business.
Yep, just the final motion everyone loves.
Yep.
Motion
Do we have
to
a motion?
adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn. Jonathan,
Yes.
Travis,
Yes.
Emily,
Yes.
I'm a yes.